said about Jude Bellingham by people that don't know the ins and outs of football. That from his captain at Birmingham, Harley Dean, who's told us Jude raises England's level with his winner's mindset.
And he's a leader, even if he might not be the most outspoken or say stuff in the press. People will follow him, his daily habits, the way he acts, all the things he does. And if you've got someone like that around you, it's just going to benefit everyone.
Now, as FIFA hike up the price of dozens of World Cup tickets for the second phase of sales, the FA's chair Debbie Hewitt is promising you tickets for Euro 2028 in the UK and Ireland will not be subject to dynamic pricing.
There's sufficient tickets that are at an accessible price for those fans, who come to the terraces week in, week out. We shouldn't be outpricing them from the game.
And fast bowler Mark Woods is out for the first Ashes test in Perth next week. Woods gone for a scan on his hamstring after bowling in a warm-up game. There's loads of Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
The economy grew by 0.1% in the third quarter of the year, and resident doctors are defending their latest round of strikes starting tomorrow morning. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With expert technicians in all our centres across the country, we'll keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top condition this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Wet in Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, but the rain will ease. Colder across northern Scotland, but feeling mild again for the most of us.
Welcome to North London. Eubank Jr. versus Ben on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. So Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in talks for a December bout. Does this tell us more about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Paul? Meanwhile, how seriously should clubs take the threat of legal action from player unions? Also today, is there no longer a square pegs in round hole approach for England? Should Ashes legends of the past keep their noses out? Are Crystal Palace trying it on regards the infamous Marinakis banner? And 48 hours out from Eubank Jr. versus Ben, we will be joined in studio by Matchroom chairman Eddie Hearn. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I was just thinking, Simon, it's International Week, but so much on elsewhere, like Eubank Jr., Ben, with Eubank Sr., Nigel coming in the other day.
It also forces broader thinking from the producer to be able to get different content when you can't just have the sort of the steady treadmill of games being played and comment about the games afterwards. He has to work a bit harder.
Yes.
And he's fortunate that he's got you and I to be able to feed that sort of stuff too, because if he was feeding it to the breakfast, it would be, oh my word.
Yes.
2 + 2 = yellow.
Producer Luke looking through the glass at the moment, mouthing, "Are you joking?"
That's a nice sign, Luke.
There you go. So just for the record, we'll return to England, already qualified, of course, for the US of A next summer, up against Serbia tonight, and the Republic of Ireland up against Portugal. Decent one, that, of course. The Republic up against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. Are you in any way becoming more attracted, more interested in Eubank Jr. Ben on Saturday night?
Not particularly.
Yes, you are.
I promise you I'm not. I've made my position clear. It's only you that keeps rehashing the same argument. I just bumped into Frank Smith on the way through. So it's nice that we've got the organ grinder on the show this afternoon rather than the little monkey that breakfast had.
That's outrageous. Frank Smith's a good guy. Spoke well on breakfast, in spite of some of the stuff he was asked. But he spoke very well indeed. And I don't know. I'm toying with it. I went the last time.
You're going.
Will it live up to the billing again? I think it probably will. And our fight week build up to Eubank Jr. versus Ben continues today. As Simon mentioned, Matchroom chairman Eddie Hearn joins us in studio for the boxing hour at midday. Simon, it's boxing news of another nature that's caught the attention this morning, though. Anthony Joshua, is he going to fight again? It would seem yes. And these talks are real, apparently. Talks ongoing for a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in December. What does it tell us, Simon? Does it tell us more, as I said in the introduction, about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul?
It tells you that there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity. You've got a very talented YouTuber that's built himself into a massive influence with huge following, and you've got a former two-time champion of the world that operates at a very high level of engagement. Whether he's a high level of performer anymore is a different discussion. So it becomes about how much can this fight generate, how many eyes on the prize. I mean, I spoke to his very close friend Michael Jarman about this very fight about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "What difference does it make? Oh, it would potentially jeopardise his legacy. His legacy's sealed. You cannot undo the fact, whatever you think of Anthony Joshua,
it might damage it.
I don't think so. What it will do is increase his bank balance. But I don't think. I think it didn't damage Muhammad Ali's reputation to go in with a sumo wrestler, did it?
No. But after, when Joshua was at his peak, Simon, if I had said to you there and then, do you know what? Maybe in December 2025, Anthony Joshua will fight a YouTuber.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the World Heavyweight Championship twice. And he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Well, I'm not having,
because this isn't a proper fight where a Saturday night is.
But I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And would I watch it? No. And do I value it? No. But when I'm asked to be confronted with a fight between two legends' sons and then get involved in all of the nonsense that goes around it, I don't buy into the nostalgia. I don't think that they merit the kind of returns that they're going to get for the level that they've operated in their careers. And that's one of my issues around the Conor Benn Eubank fight. This fight over here with Anthony Joshua, I know what this is. No one can dress this up. This is a turd that will get polished into a huge pile of money. And if you know that from the outset, so I don't have any illusions about it. Neither does anybody else. Nobody thinks that this is a real fight. Nobody thought. I mean, Spencer tried his very level best and will never try it again to convince us that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Well, this is something similar, but for different reasons. Anthony Joshua is still a live heavyweight, and if he hits Jake Paul's going to get hurt. And some people might think that's a good thing to happen to him, to learn his lesson. But he is also now fighting. He's got a fighter's license. And the question should be along the lines of what Chris Eubank Sr. was raising. Is it right? Is this appropriate that a high-performing supreme athlete like Anthony Joshua, whose only real challenges now are probably in his mind, because physically he can operate at the highest level if he still chose to, should be stepping in against someone like Jake Paul that does not have the skill set to deal with the kind of power and expertise that Anthony Joshua has? And should boxing be sanctioning this? This is the bigger question.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Having said all that, Netflix tell us 60 million households worldwide tuned in live to see Mike Tyson take on Jake Paul. Why would Jake Paul end up fighting Anthony Joshua anyway? I'll tell you why. Paul was due to fight Gervonta Davis on November the 14th in Florida. But Davis was removed from the bout after domestic violence allegations were made against him. So what do we do now? What do we do now with Jake Paul? I know what we might do. Might put him in with Anthony Joshua if that can be done. Back in March, Jake Paul himself flirted with the idea of fighting AJ.
But here's the thing. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know he just got knocked out, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, but I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo. I will beat a lot of people. I will not beat David Benavidez.
It's not even close.
I would get torn up, bro.
Well, at least he admits that.
But it's noise, isn't it? And for some reason or another, and it escapes me, and it might be an age thing, and it might be an appreciation of certain levels of content. I look at these guys, I admire the phenomenal skill that's been able to engineer themselves into a position where they're making so much money from the content they're delivering. but it evades me why people are even the slightest bit interested in Jake Paul or his brother. But they are, so let's move past that. When you listen to the content of what he's saying, it's just silly, isn't it? It's just silly. Anthony Joshua is a world-level heavyweight that has fought at the highest level. Yeah. And when you've got somebody that looks like Sideshow Bob telling you that this guy has no expertise, no skill, and he'll beat him up, he's just silly. And then you've got a conversation where he's going to fight. I mean, I don't know how much that kid weighs, but he's going to fight Tank Davis, who's 135 fighter. I mean, it's just stupid, and it shouldn't be sanctioned. It shouldn't be allowed, and it's steeped in avarice and greed. But it's also, I also recognise more than ever now, we're in the entertainment business, which I know won't chime with the argument that I have with Eubank and Ben, and I hold the Eubank and Ben situation to a higher standard than I would hold this crap to, because this is show business, and I get what it is.
So what's a bigger freak show in your mind, Joshua Paul or Eubank Junior Ben?
Well, neither, quite frankly, because I know what Joshua versus Paul is. It's an exhibition. Yeah. It's a load of old nonsense.
See, Eubank Junior Ben is no freak show.
No, I don't think it's a freak show. I think it's overhyped and it's over-rewarded and it's trading on other people's achievements.
So why did you have Eubank Senior on your top boxing show the other day for the amount of time you had him? Because it's the only show in town in boxing right now.
Unfortunately, with Chris, every answer takes about 27 minutes. So I probably would have had him on a lot less if we could have gotten to the point quicker. No, it's ultimately because Chris Eubank is part of a story. His achievements are undeniable. Why wouldn't you want to talk to Chris Eubank Senior about the nature and state of boxing and having his views on things? Because he's done it. He's the real McCoy. He deserves all the cachet, all the kudos, all the respect, because his achievements are indelible. So that's why I'd have Chris Eubank.
And the sons don't?
Well, of course not. Neither one of these sons could lace either their father's boots.
Really? They sold out the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's first time around.
That's wonderful marketing from Snake Oil salesman that's coming in this afternoon. It's wonderful nostalgia, which gets sold all the time, and of course we've been able to curate and create this entertainment opportunity. Now, if these two boys' names were John Smith and whatever else, and they had fought at the levels they fought at, do you think they'd be filling Tottenham Hotspur?
Why were you having Brook versus Khan? Because that time ago. Because it was a Ben Shalom promotion and you got behind it.
Because they were both world title fighters. They'd both won world titles.
It came 10 years too late.
And so did Floyd Mayweather.
But you were having it.
So did Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. Right, so I look at those two fighters and I go to myself, there's no backstory. There's nobody telling you that Amir Khan's dad is going to turn up. Or there's nobody utilising all the legacy, all the heritage of other people's achievements, right? Yeah. And there's nobody telling you that these two guys have not done things, because Kell Brook won a world title against Sean Porter and Amir Khan was one of my favourite fighters at one time.
Did you say boxing is entertainment?
Boxing.
Did you say that a short time ago?
Boxing is...
You see, you missed out first time around. When Eubank Jr. fought Ben, it was a show-stopping moment. I don't care what you say. When Eubank Sr. climbed out that car, show-stopping moment.
It was great theatre.
And you had to be there.
It was great theatre, right? And you saw it on a television screen.
Entertainment.
And you saw it on a television screen the same way that I saw it on a television screen 24 hours later. You didn't see it live. You saw it on a television screen.
Because about 15 minutes after that, there he was standing on a platform, surveying the scene as only Chris Eubank Sr. can do.
There's also a part of
it was theatre.
I get it. There's also a part of me, and this is not, you're not going to sit with this very well, that dislikes the way the media hijack everything and turn it into something far more. It's disingenuous. It's dishonest a lot of the time.
And you didn't having Chris Eubank Sr. on top.
No, because I don't go.
There was no hijacking involved in that.
No, I don't go after the click. I'll ask the question. I'm not interested in turning around and going after some sort of sensationalized headline. I'm after understanding some knowledge and imparting it to people that are listening, including myself.
That's very good.
Because I'll ask Chris Eubank a question, and I tell you what I will do and what you will do as well is I'll ask a question, and if I don't like the answer, I won't just accept it like everyone else does. I'll go, well, that's crap.
And you're telling me I accept any answer?
No, I said no, I didn't say that. I said like you, I will ask a question. And I will expect a better answer than a formulaic answer that's given to other people. And that's the reasons why, in part, this show has some success. That's the reasons why Talk Boxing does relatively well, because people they'll get something different. They might not like my views.
Was
they
that
might think
a veiled compliment to me there? Did that go over my head?
It was, yeah. You were too busy thinking that I was saying something about you rather than what I was actually saying.
I tell you what, you've heard Simon and myself talk about it there. If Anthony Joshua ends up in December climbing in a ring in Florida to fight Jake Paul, would you get behind it? Would you find it unmissable? just as so many of you did, 60 million of you worldwide did, when Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson.
They will, because they want to see Jake Paul knocked out.
Will you? Well, that's a good point. Will you watch, no matter what? Will you make it appointment to view, appointment to listen? As far as you're concerned, unmissable. Yes, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua in December. Is that your view? Bring it on. Or like Simon and like many others, some purists in the boxing game, do you say, nah, enough now, pack it in. This is nonsense. You might want to give us a call on that. 03717 223344 81089. Remember, Eddie Hearn, live from 12 noon.
To North London, Eubank Jr. versus Ben on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
everybody. It is Thursday morning, Thursday, November the 13th. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. We're also live on your TV, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch us. You can catch us live in the morning, and the audience is rising and rising, and we're really thrilled about that. We're dwelling on the sport of boxing at the moment, not least because of Eubank Jr. up against Conor Benn on Saturday night again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium here in London again. We'll get round to a bit of England later on, of course, and a bit of Thomas Tuchel, because it is that time. It's International Week. Many people getting in touch with us, 03717 223344, regards the question I put to you the other side of the break there. If indeed Anthony Joshua gets in the ring with YouTuber Jake Paul, and that's what he is, YouTuber Jake Paul, would you watch it? Simon, before we take some calls, with this seemingly in the pipeline, can we safely say goodbye to Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury?
Well, I think it's done anyway, judging by the mood music that seems to be coming out from various camps. If you listen to Tyson Fury, he seems to be, despite the fact we've danced this dance before and walked this walk before, he seems to be talking in a very different way. There's no hyperbole. It's, I'm done. This is a younger man's game. I've done my bit. I'm at peace with where I am in life. I don't need boxing anymore. But not in the flash for cash way that Tyson often does it. In a more earnest way is my understanding of his sort of thought processes. So with that in mind, it almost feels that that's off the table anyway. Who knows? The draw of the enormous amounts of money that this one fight can generate. This is the one fight that can really get everybody paid. I mean, the two protagonists. Whatever Usyk takes, tragically for him, he wouldn't even get anywhere near as much money as potentially being offered for the Fury-Joshua fight.
What would earn AJ more of a pay packet? Fighting Fury or fighting Jake Paul?
Well, I would think tragically fighting Jake Paul.
God, what is that?
Because the revenues, because it's a Gen Z TikTok generation that wants to watch sport in a certain way.
Yeah,
and that's nothing critical of them. It's just the way that it is. And that's the circumstances of social media and the platforms that people like Jake Paul are able to cross over. It's not a case of people in the mainstream should be dinosaurs. The digital world and those opportunities and those platforms are marvelous places. And you know, you heard me talking about Mark Goldbridge the other day and the commercial deal that he did with the Bundesliga. And we can be sniffy about their level of content, or we can accept that there's a place for everybody. It's interesting that still the digital world and that sort of space, which is the YouTube platform, still want mainstream credibility. But as far as numbers are concerned, they're dwarfing. The numbers that get on mainstream media are being dwarfed by the social media guys.
Yeah, I wonder how long that'll go on for, you know, because people will see through it eventually.
It'll go on and on and on.
People will see through it eventually.
No, it won't.
You know,
the content level...
Quality beats quantity, believe me.
Podcasting is the new form of broadcasting.
Oh, yeah.
It is now. People are not going to go for linear broadcasters unless it's really, really good.
Yeah.
If you're really, really good, mainstream should always top certain aspects of other aspects. But you have to be really, really good. And we still live in a world where mainstream operates with a lot of blandness and a lot of vanilla.
True. I'm with you on that. So if it comes to it, next month, if AJ gets into a ring with Jake Paul, YouTuber Jake Paul, will you watch it? Are you having it? Is this where it's got to? And as I said in the introduction, Joshua Jake Paul, does it tell us more about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul? Kelvin is a Tottenham Hotspur fan, but no doubt a boxing fan. Kelvin, good morning. You're first up. What's your take on this?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. Great show. Will I watch it? 100% no. I personally think it is just a pathetic, ridiculous exhibition designed to make two people a lot of money. In my opinion, you might as well put Kylie Minogue with Nicola Adams at her prime. You know, I just find it staggering that this fight is going to get the go-ahead because, sadly, and I don't have an opinion at all, I've not really seen much of him, sadly, there is a chance that he's going to get very seriously hurt if he steps in the ring with Joshua.
Well, that's a fair point. You might be missing out if Kylie gets in the ring because she's been working hard in the gym as far as I hear. But here's the thing. Did you watch AJ and Ngannou or Fury and Ngannou? Did you watch that, Kelvin? No. So,
and I'm a big boxing fan, and I refuse to. Same as I've not watched, or I didn't watch the first Ben Eubank Jr. fight, and I won't be watching it on Saturday night because it's just about making money and risking people's lives.
Fair enough. Some good points in there. What were these fights, Simon? When we saw the Ngannou thing,
I have to say,
was that crossover or were they genuine?
Yeah, well, it was crossover, but it was also, and I ridiculed it, and Frank would get quite irate about it and say, watch this space, and he was right, because it was the gatekeeper, wasn't it? It opened the door. The fight with Ngannou opened the door for everyone else to come running through and feed off the Saudi teat for a long period of time. And it got some great fights being made because that relationship was cemented by that particular fight and the numbers that it did. And of course, Tyson did the boxing sport no great service by putting up an abject performance that gave everybody a sort of feeling about what the hell's happening here. And then, quite frankly, Anthony Joshua did everybody a favour by coming and cleaning out Ngannou, and we moved on with the conversation because it was all becoming about, does UFC better than boxing, and these boxers are not what they thought they are, and have we really got real world champions? And Anthony went in and cleaned him out.
Yeah.
And that's what Tyson Fury should have done. But there is a difference between Ngannou, who is a world-level combat fighter, and Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Now, the disciplines...
Ngannou was no boxer.
But he's a world-level combat fighter. So there's a translation that ultimately he's got more about him in that space. Now, of course, the skill sets are different, but he can punch and he can take punches because he's a world-level athlete.
But it wasn't two boxers.
The only thing that Jake Paul's got is probably world-level athlete's foot.
Yeah, but it wasn't Ngannou nonetheless against AJ or Fury. It wasn't boxer versus boxer.
It's not ideal. No, it's not ideal, but it has more sporting integrity in terms of the level of competitor. At the time, I was very much against it. I still think it's a mismatch, but I didn't think it was as much of a mismatch as what this is with Jake, if indeed it ever gets signed. Because we're in the space of talks. Talks is a long way from fight, and of course what happens with talks is lots of people get their ugly mugs in front of the camera, including Mr. Hearn this afternoon. And ultimately, Anthony Joshua gets talked about again, Jake Paul's whole existence.
Yeah.
Why would he do anything if it wasn't involving him having his face on YouTube?
So, Chris, Liverpool and boxing fan, are you buying into it if it happens? AJ versus Paul?
How are we doing, boys? We good today?
Good, mate. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. What do you make of this?
I think that if this fight goes ahead, it's going to be the biggest mockery in boxing. I mean, yes, it's Jake Paul's fought. If he wins this fight, it'll be a fix because there's no way. It's like Simon said earlier. Ngannou is a UFC athlete. He's been trained to do this from when he was young.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is the only athlete he's got is like Simon said. He's got athlete's foot. That's it. And that, Simon's the best thing you've said in a while. That's not me, that did. I like it.
I'll vouch for that. I'll vouch for that, crew. Here's the thing: you're going to watch Eubank Junior Ben 2 on Saturday night. Come on, Chris. Be honest.
If I'm honest with you, probably not.
That's two.
Why?
That's 2 for 2.
I mean, 2 for 2.
Why, mate?
Why? It just... Eubank's so much bigger than Ben. The first fight, yes, you could say it was tight, it was this, it was that, but it didn't get me on the edge of my seat, if you know what I mean.
God, I was there, Chris. I was on the edge of mine, mate. Honestly. It's split opinion.
The last few rounds, yes, maybe, but
yeah, sorry, Chris.
It's all right, mate, no problem. But the last few rounds, yeah, it got a bit tasty. But other than that, it was just two geezers walking around shouting at each other.
Yeah. Chris, fair enough. Some good points in there. Distracted me, never. It's 10:30.
Is AJ destroying his legacy by agreeing to fight Jake Paul? Reports suggest AJ's agreed to face the YouTube-turned boxer in Miami next month. talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver is shocked by this comeback news.
We all thought it was about that journey to winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time and going down in the history books. We thought he was going to have a warm-up fight before going into a big fight, maybe in the summer with Tyson Fury.
You can get more on that at talksport.com. Now, ahead of England v Serbia live on talkSPORT tonight, Alan Pardew says there is a way you can play Kane, Foden and Bellingham in the same team. You just put one of England's number 10s on the left who'd come inside.
And then obviously you need a raiding left back, and O'Reilly was outstanding for Manchester City at the weekend. And Lewis Skelly, who, you know, hopefully will get enough games to be involved in the World Cup.
Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland need a result at home to Portugal tonight to have any chance of qualification for the World Cup. And Jaime Hallgrimsson's urging the officials not to be controlled by Cristiano Ronaldo.
A player shouldn't be refereeing. It should be the officials doing the refereeing. If they want to affect the game, they shouldn't at least affect the referee.
And ahead of the Ashes, injury concerns for England now. Fast bowler Mark Wood's become a doubt for the first test with a hamstring issue. There's loads of Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
Business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Sign up today to get a £60 welcome bonus on our Black Friday deals. Offer ends 1st of December. Terms and verification at tescomobile.com/business.
It is time. Well, the time is 25 to 11 this Thursday morning, and that is time for us to round up one of football's top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business. Simon alongside me for this. Simon, and I've got a good idea the direction in which this is going to go. It's understood the Premier League will find itself at odds with players if a new salary cap is voted through. On the 21st of this month, a vote on anchoring, as it's called, will take place amongst Premier League clubs. Now, this will form part of new financial controls in the Premier League, replacing PSR. Anchoring will limit spending on wages transfers for all clubs to 5 times what the bottom club gets in prize money and TV money. So sources have told the Times newspaper in this very building that the PFA is scheduled to meet with the captains of all 20 Premier League clubs next week before the vote. The PFA is threatening legal action if the clubs vote in favour of anchoring. So then, writing exclusively in the Times, the PFA chief executive, Maheta Malango, has outlined why the union will fight the Premier League on any cap that is presented to them. And he goes on to say, for fans, support for caps can sometimes reflect a wider belief there's just too much money in modern football. But it's important to remember that the emotional response to player wages is based on the outliers. A high-profile Premier League player is not the average PFA member, says Maheta. They are found in Premier Leagues 1 and 2, squeezing what they can get from a short and insecure career, likely to be based on a series of short-term contracts. If what happens in the Premier League trickles down, would it seem fair that those players might have their earning ability artificially capped? Before you come in this, Simon, in the interests of balance, of course, we approached the PFA before we came on air. Producer Luke did. And we had a reply from Maheta Malango in person, who said he's unavailable to join us this morning. He has too much on his plate. Fair enough, he got back to us. Nonetheless, they're unrepresented during this discussion. Simon, when it comes down to it, how seriously should clubs take the threat of legal action from player unions?
Not in the slightest. I mean, ultimately, they're probably too busy concocting some strike action with Mick Lynch for these poor, underpaid, overworked players. The conversation it's just silly. It's not a grown-up conversation. First of all, there's been a salary management cap protocol in the EFL for a long period of time. So what are you babbling about, you fool? And secondly, this is about the Premier League. And thirdly, it's about the sustainability of football clubs. Or is it your viewpoint that the only football clubs that should be sustainable are the ones that are owned by nation states and hedge funds and oligarchs and all that brings to football and the challenges that brings? There is, of course, a necessity to find a manner in which to perhaps find some solutions to the wild west of finances that football details. I'm in the camp about investment. I'm in the camp about relaxing governance and not allowing governance to reach beyond the pales of, say, the independent regulators' remit to redistribute, because I think that's an argument to be had, a redistribution model. But to suggest that footballers that are, on the whole, with notable exceptions, vastly overpaid for what they actually do, and to turn it into an argument about an industry that's going to have a legal... What they want is a seat at the table, like always, so they can tell you what they don't want. And I find that a difficult conversation to have with somebody, because I know what you don't want. What you don't want is any governance over the game. You want it to continue going the way it does, because ultimately, for you as a union, which is funded out of not your members, how about you start getting your members to fund your union rather than television companies and football itself? Because you get your money from the bloody television companies and you don't even get it from your union members. And here you are shouting the odds about your union, and you're one of the few unions in the world that isn't actually funded by its members. And they have very little interest in you until moments come when they're in difficult... And they'll never come on a show like this because they can't...
Well, they will persist.
Well, they're cowards. They never do, because they can't stand up their arguments, because they get away with it in a vacuum. They can say it in isolation when someone won't challenge them, but when someone's actually been in a room with them, whether it was Gordon Taylor or whether it was Mick Maguire or whoever else they had in situ, their arguments don't stand up.
To be fair, Taylor used to come on with you and I, but Maheta ducks.
Yeah, but with due respect, Gordon came on and defended the indefensible. He came on and said the most ridiculous things about Riyad Mahrez and suggested that there should be some justification for Riyad Mahrez downing tools because he couldn't get a transfer between Leicester City and Man City, and we should worry about the players' mental health.
Simon,
it's nonsense.
What is the point of a vote on anchoring amongst the Premier League clubs on November the 21st?
It's a bad policy anyway.
If indeed... Sources telling the Times that the PFA is scheduled to meet with the captains of all 20 Premier League clubs next week before the vote.
Who cares? I mean, literally, who cares? I mean, the union's contribution towards the well-being of footballers is highly debatable amongst a lot of footballers, because you can get as many footballers on here as you want, and a large proportion will tell you that they don't hold the PFA in great stead. The idea that they have any value in this game, they've had to be dragged kicking and screaming into areas where they should be prevalent, like with Dawn Astle and with other people that have had really legitimate claims about the support structures available to footballers of the past because of real reasons why unions should be in existence. And I can't bear this observation about short careers. Go look at the average space in everyone's life and find out that the average workspace for most people is about 6 to 8 years in any career. So when you sit in the footballing world, a wonderful occupation to be in, and I get the idea of League One and League Two, and even League One and League Two are exceeding massively the average wage in this country. So let's get past all of this hyperbole and industry nonsense and look at what they actually want. They want a continuation of the gravy train. And fair play to them.
Yeah.
And football, I don't agree with anchoring. I think anchoring is a flawed principle. But I do agree with the fact that football clubs, to some extent, should have some economic reality attached to them, at the same time as allowing them to be invested in, so that owners can continue to put the football clubs forward and drive them forward, because the scale of opportunity exists in the sale of a football club now, and certainly not its income.
But surely anchoring's the best thing possible here. If it's not going to be PSR, it limits the spending on wages and transfers for all clubs.
The principle of anchoring is based upon a distribution model into clubs, so that there's try to create a parity so that bigger clubs and smaller clubs can compete on an equal playing field. That's what it's trying to do. It doesn't work. And if you look at the conversation that was had about 3 or 4 weeks ago when Peter Ridsdale was on here, and he talked about anchoring, and both of us went to the same place. Anchoring isn't it. salary caps. Stop fiddling around, stop rearranging the chairs on the Titanic, and start concentrating on the only issue that's really that jeopardises the future of football, full stop, which is wage costs. And it's interesting how they don't mind the economics trickling down. So when it's a trickle-down economic, which means that salaries of the Premier League land in Championship, land in League One, League Two, they don't mind those trickle-down economics. They don't mind that. They're quite happy with that. But when it's trickle-down economics, which is starting to control wages, we don't like that. It's just nonsense. It's one-sided nonsense.
But Maheta Malango is right to an extent when he says a high-profile Premier League player is not the average PFA member. He's right about that.
And that's fine. But we're not talking about high-profile. We're not talking about League One players having anchoring. We're talking about Premier League players having anchoring. We're talking about an average Premier League footballer on £70,000 to £80,000 a week, right? So we don't need to. So if he's not talking about the Premier League footballers, what's he got to do with him then about anchoring in the Premier League? Because that's to do with Premier League footballers. So if the Premier League wants to do something about controlling its costs, why is he bringing in League One and League Two arguments? Because he says, there might be a trickle-down economics. So when you've had the trickle-down economics, which is the inflated salaries in the Premier League have inflated the salaries in Championship, League One, League Two, that's okay then, is it?
Right. Here's the thing. I'm going to put you right in the spot with this. When we leave this building, a lot of the time, people come up to us, talk about the show. I'm constantly asked about highly paid footballers. They earn too much money. You get in any London cab, and eventually the conversation will go, what do you make of what some of these characters earn? How do you impose a salary cap?
Well, a salary cap doesn't mean they can't be paid massive wages. It means that mediocrity doesn't get rewarded and top-end quality does. So, unfortunately, if you've got a salary cap, and say Man City's salary cap would be 300 million, it's not going to affect them because that's their wage bill now as it is because their turnover is so high. And what you're going to do is you're going to be forcing a situation where the very best still get paid. If I've got a wage cap that says I can only spend 140 million quid on players, it means I'm going to be a bit more cautious at the bottom end of the roster. The high-end talent's still going to get paid what it's worth because the market will dictate that. And it only means there's a bit of cost controls. Is the argument that the PFA want, which is their wonderful argument during COVID, bloody well get on with it. Doesn't matter how sustainable the industry is. Don't matter. It's always going to be a Daddy Warbucks come along and bankroll everybody else. Because that's their argument. Their argument is, who gives a monkeys about sustainability? Who cares about the losses? Who cares about COVID shutting down football for 18 months and everyone bleeding out of their eyes? As long as my members get paid. But if your members haven't got football clubs to play at because they can't exist anymore, they won't have a long-term career, will they, you silly sod?
Yeah, but this is tricky. The PFA is going to meet with the captains of all 20 Premier League clubs next week before the vote. That's a problem.
Yeah, and what will happen then? All these captains will most likely be the highest paid players in their clubs. You really think they're going to go against their owners? Well, because the unions rock up? Pack it in. Nobody pays any attention to these guys. They're just an irritating background noise.
But the biggest beneficiaries of the game could end up being the very people that bring it down.
They won't. What are they going to do? Go on strike? Go on then. I dare you. Go on then. Go on strike. See how you get on. It's nonsense. It's an empty threat. It's a fart in a spacesuit. It's not worth anything.
Even though you don't want to be in that spacesuit, even though the PFA declined to comment on next week's meeting with the captains, you can catch up with what the PFA Chief Executive Maheta Malango said in the Times.
Never been on the show, have they?
Because they wrote exclusively for them.
Ever since this, they won't, because they can't. If they do, because they can't stand up their arguments and they know they're going to get pushed back against. They'll go on a show that goes, oh, yeah, I see your point. They won't go on a show when someone says, what a load of old pony.
Maheta, if you're listening this morning, the invitation is there. It's open. It's ongoing. Whenever you want to join us, we're here for you. Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Sign up today to get a £60 welcome bonus on our Black Friday deals. Offer ends 1st of December. Terms and verification at tescomobile.com/business.
going to be a bloodbath.
It's one of the fights of the year.
Eubank, I can't wait to smash your head in.
That's why he didn't beat me, and that's why he shall not beat me in November.
So, 1 week out from the start of the Ashes, the first test begins next Friday, early morning in Perth. And don't forget to tune in to our brand new show, How to Win the Ashes, on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. This week, legendary England fast bowler Darren Gough joined talkSPORT analyst, cricket writer Jared Kimber to discuss the role of the Australian media. And here, Goughy describes why the scrutiny on an England cricketer in Australia is so unique.
As soon as you walk through, I actually liked it. But it's like you're a film star. I was like 24, I just started playing for England, and I walked out and I was like, oh, hang on a minute.
They like the airport scrum, don't they?
Unbelievable. Yeah. And that's when it hit me, but wow. Cricket in Australia is pretty big. In England, the media are quite reserved.
Well, you can watch the first episode of How to Win the Ashes on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, which is out now. Simon, here's
Did he
the
ever
thing.
play in the team that won the Ashes, Darren?
You're asking me.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes has dismissed criticism of his team's Ashes preparations. Now, the background to this is that a host of former players have criticised England's absence of matches against highly rated state teams to prepare for the first test. England play their only fixture before the first test, a three-day game that started at Lilac Hill, and that's the only time they're going to play before they take on Australia for real in the Ashes. Graham Gooch told Telegraph Sport last month that he didn't understand England's warm-up schedule, and this week Ian Botham said, it's not the way I would prepare for such a big series. But then Ben Stokes listened to that and said, oh, really?
Cricket's changed so much. Preparation is nowhere near as simple as it used to be. You used to be able to come out on a tour, I don't know, months and a half, 2 months before the first game started. But now there's so much cricket packed into a calendar, and the schedules and stuff like that. It's just impossible to be able to do how it used to be done. Look, we've been preparing for this tour not over the last 3 weeks. You know, we've been putting a lot of thought and process to this, you know, for probably a few years now. So I don't know what else we're expected to be able to do. There's Shield cricket going on at the moment, so who will we play against? And look, we're about to go out and, you know, face a team who've got obviously a mix between our squad and also the next best player in England. So yeah, there's quite a few factors that play into the role of why we can't prepare how the has-beens have maybe prepared in the past. It's just all changed. The landscape of cricket's changed, and I think that affects preparation and how you're able to do it. But we're confident and we're very comfortable with how we prepare, because we leave no stone unturned whatsoever.
Now, I would have thought, Simon, that when people like Gooch and Botham speak, everybody in cricket sits up and listens. But here we've got Stokes saying there are quite a few factors that play into the whole of why we can't prepare, how the has-beens may be prepared in the past.
Well, it's not as insulting as it first sounds by calling them has-beens, because the alternative is never-beens, isn't it? So these guys have achieved things in the past, and would they concede? Would Ian concede and Graham concede that cricket is different now than perhaps in their day? The culture of cricket, the culture on the field, off the field, the level of athleticism required, and the style of cricket. Test cricket was played in a very different way when Ian Botham was in his pomp and Graham Goocher in his pomp, opening batting with Geoffrey Boycott. You've got opening batsmen now that score runs at a rate that's never been seen before. So if they do concede that, if they were to concede that, and I think they probably would in a conversation where it wasn't confrontational, and if they concede that it's different, then the preparation of the past is irrelevant. Because if they concede that the sport is different, then they must concede that the preparation requirements must be different. And if they must concede that the preparation requirements must be different, then they must concede that Brendan McCallum and Ben Stokes, who have operated at a relatively high level over the last 2 or 3 years, might know what they're doing. Now, of course, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. And, of course, after that little soliloquy from Ben Stokes, if they get their backsides handed them from the first couple of test matches, then you're going to have people... Yeah. But I also think it's not wrong in a media-driven world and a sport that's focusing on being represented in the media at a significant point with a significant series, that people of the past will talk about experiences and make it a conversational piece. Yeah. It's not it's critical. They're observing. Now, Ben has just told them. His response to their position is these are the reasons potentially why. Yeah. And I mean, the has-beens comment, I don't think is quite as disparaging because a has-been is true. They are not current anymore.
It's hardly complimentary, is it?
Well,
a has-been.
No, it's not. Well, a has-been is better than never been, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
we couldn't possibly call Botham and Gooch never-beens.
No, but you could talk to them about how many Ashes series did they win in Australia. Because I don't know the answer to that, and I think it's probably not very many.
Well, are you, and another matter completely before we leave cricket, you ever been in the long room at Lord's?
Yeah.
What's that like? Were you invited in by a member? It's a long room. Yes, I get that.
Have I been at a cricket match? No, I've walked through it because I've done a speaking engagement there once, and I've been there on some corporate events. But have I been there for a cricket match? No.
No. The Australian cricketer Usman Khawaja believes that the England fan banned for life. Do you remember this, Simon?
Yes,
for clashing with Australia's cricketers in Lord's long room during the 2023 Ashes should have his punishment overturned. The background to this was the incident in question followed the infamous stumping of Johnny Bairstow shortly before lunch on the 5th day of the Lord's Test. Boos rang out before the Australian players were greeted with cheat, cheat, cheat.
Yeah.
You cheats, as they entered the usually the pavilion's long room for the lunch break.
Yeah.
Australia's players reacted angrily at the time, if you remember. An official statement later alleged that the abuse wasn't just verbal, but it was physical. 3 members were suspended, then banned, following a full disciplinary process. One received a 30-month ban, which expires at the end of this year, and another received a ban until the end of 2027. The third was banned for life. Good God. Yeah. I mean, at the end of it all, it was a fair bit of drama. But now Usman Khawaja is saying, really? Should ban for life mean ban for life?
Well, I mean, look,
do you allow them back in to the long room?
I would imagine that having been in the company of many Australians and lived in Australia for a period of time, they are very adept at handing out their own opinion on things and very strong in their sledging and uncouthness at times and what they think is their entitlement. So they probably look at the MCC and go, really? Is that necessary, mate?
Well, I mean, you talk about the Australians, you've pretty much summed that up, Simon, because they captured it in an all-access documentary on Amazon Prime, and this is how the Aussies remembered it.
It was like we'd ripped the soul out of them.
It wasn't overly pleasant, particularly how close people are to you. One of the MCC members started spraying me. I was like, mate, you can't be saying this stuff. He's like, oh, I can say whatever or I effing want, like that sense of entitlement almost. There's probably about 3 of them I called out. One of them was really inappropriate.
Absolutely, yeah. People stepped over the line. Like, that's... Yeah, I don't think how you should treat people.
I don't think I've ever seen a group of grown, old-ass men. What was this old ass? Like, mate, this one bloke was foaming at the man. A bloke kicked ball when he went up the stairs. We're at Lord's.
Couldn't believe it, mate. We're at Lord's. I mean, I think they made the most of it, didn't they?
Makes you die, doesn't it? Have you heard some of the sledging that comes out of these Australian cricketers' mouths? You go back to the days of Jeff Thompson and Dennis Lilly, and you move forward into Merv Hughes and whoever. that were made on a cricket field. And they say that sort of stuff, and all of a sudden their little sensitivities are offended because they've got a few boos.
I know.
Back it in,
I was going to say,
bloody whining hypocrites.
I don't think many of the Australians were particularly perturbed about some character in a stripy blazer and a shirt and tie screaming at them. Yep. At the end of the day, though, one of the individuals who was hurling abuse was banned for life, so it must have been fairly hefty. Having said all that, do you let them back into the long room? Why not? Because to do otherwise just wouldn't be cricket. 1 week to the Ashes, it's 11 o'clock.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Anthony Joshua's legacy will not be affected by getting into the ring with Jake Paul. That from Simon Jordan this morning, who says the big question is, should this fight be sanctioned?
Is this appropriate that a high-performing supreme athlete like Anthony Joshua, whose only real challenges now are probably in his mind, because physically he can operate at the highest level if he still chose to, should be stepping in against someone like Jake Paul that does not have the skill set to deal with the kind of power and expertise that Anthony Joshua has?
It's reported AJ's agreed to fight Jake Paul in Miami next month. There's more on this at talksport.com. Bournemouth's Alex Scott's been left out of England's 23 to face Serbia tonight. The game is live on TalkSport from 7 p.m. Now, as FIFA hike up the price of dozens of World Cup tickets for the second phase of sales, the FA chair Debbie Hewitt is promising tickets for Euro 2028 in the UK and Ireland will not be subject to dynamic pricing. Rugby Union and Lewis Rees-Zammit will make his first start for Wales since returning from the NFL. He lines up on the wing against Japan on Saturday in Cardiff. Meanwhile, New Zealand captain Scott Barrett's back from injury to face England at Twickenham. And Mark Wood is now a doubt for the first Ashes test next week. The England fast bowler's gone for a scan on his hamstring after pulling up in a practice game. Here's Vice-Captain Harry Brook.
Not ideal, is it? But that's part of being an extremely fast bowler. But like I say, I haven't seen him yet. I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know his current situation. And we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Captain Ben Stokes was the pick of England's bowlers, taking 6 wickets on day one of their warm-up against the Lions. More Ashes build up on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
There's a fresh blow for the Chancellor with less than 2 weeks till her budget, and the waiting list for routine hospital treatment in England has fallen slightly. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Wet in Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England, but the rain is easing. Colder across northern Scotland, but feeling mild again for most of us.
Welcome to North London. Eubank Jr. versus Ben on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered.
We'll catch you next time.
Good morning, everybody. The build-up continues to Eubank Junior versus Conor Benn Saturday night. They go it again, and again it takes place in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're looking ahead to it very shortly. British heavyweight boxer Dave Allen will join us here in studio, and then from 12 noon onwards, the promoter, Conor Benn's promoter, Eddie Hearn, will join us live. Matchroom chairman Eddie Hearn in the studio. One-time foe of Simon, but I think to a degree peace has broken out, or we'll see if it has, won't we? Before all that, in the world of women's football, the WSL season is well underway, with Chelsea going for a 7th straight title and the rest of the pack more or less trying their very best to try and stop them. Chelsea's all-time top scorer is Fran Kirby. She now plays for Brighton, and they return to the Amex this weekend for their clash against Leicester. Just before we came on air, I caught up with Fran, and she not only plays a good game, she talks a good game as well. And I asked her what sort of challenge their team should expect from the Foxes.
I'm really excited. It's always really nice to play at the Amex. I've got some really nice memory there, whether it's England or Brighton. So, yeah, really excited to get there, play in front of the fans, and, hopefully it'll be a good game for everyone to watch. And I think obviously Leicester have struggled a little bit this season in terms of kind of getting that winning formula put together, but they look like a really strong side. I think, a lot of these teams that people are seeing that haven't actually got the results are putting in some good performances. They're maybe not getting, the win at the end, or, what they really deserve. And it was a little bit for us playing Liverpool on the weekend, that they were a really good side and caused us a lot of problems, and obviously lucky to rescue a point there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a really good contest, actually, because I think it'd be two good teams. Obviously, Leicester trying to get a couple of wins on the board, and we also need to start picking up some wins as well.
Fran, there are big talking points, on-field talking points in the men's game and in the women's game, but still no VAR in the women's game. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think I did an interview a while ago, and they asked me one thing I would change about the women's game, and I said it was to introduce VAR. We're in a place where we need it. I think the officials need help. We know that people can make mistakes, and we know that it's human nature to make mistakes. But I do think now where the women's game has grown and is going, and the importance of these decisions, whether they're for you or against you, can really impact the outcome of the game. And I think with the money that's being invested by clubs, with how much the players are investing into the game, these mistakes are costing these teams and these players quite big consequences now. So I'm all for it. I think it would be really good to have in the women's game in terms of helping the officials, but I understand that, people will be apprehensive about it in terms of how will it work, how long does it take. But I think now where the game is growing and going to different levels, we need these decisions to be correct. I think the game is ready for it, and I think we need to start implementing it to help the officials.
On our show, Fran, Simon and I regularly talk about Tony Bloom and his contribution to the game. But across both the men's game and the women's game, the teams at Brighton, how aligned do you think his aspirations are from what you see from distance?
Yeah, I mean, look, whenever I've spoken with Tony or we've heard, his comments from the club, he is fully invested in the women's team. He really wants to push it forward, and he has a vision of becoming a top 4 team in women's football. And, you can feel that in terms of, the likes around the building, the changing facilities, the training facilities, the recovery facilities that we have, building, a women's only stadium when that kind of gets going. So you can see that he really wants to push it going forward. And I think now the club is in a position where it has everything off the pitch in order to be there. It's just bringing in the right people to keep bringing the quality up and up on the pitch. And I think that's where the club, especially on the women's side, has got to now in terms of we have everything in place. Now we need to start bringing in these players to get more and more out of us on the pitch.
Fran, you'll be well aware some of the comments that Mary Earps has made in her book have hit the headlines. She said that the re-inclusion of Hannah Hampton by Serena Wigman was, quote, rewarding bad behaviour. She cited Euro 2022 when she said Hannah was disruptive and unreliable. Again, what's your take from distance on that?
I've obviously worked with both players. I know them very well, and I respect them very, very highly in terms of what they've done for the women's game, whether it's playing now or playing a few years ago. And, I think, I'm quite a chilled, laid back person, so I don't really hear the mumbles so much going on. But I think if Mary is that passionate about saying something, then I think she has a right to. Obviously, it's never nice to see what people are going to write about you. I think that's, probably a really horrible thing. But I think ultimately for me, this is about 2 people who have been boosted up in the women's football world quite dramatically over the last few days, probably that we've not seen in this country before. This is 2 human beings. And for me, as long as, they're in a good place mentally and they're able to have the right people around them to help them navigate through this time, I think that's really important. And I just hope that both of them are doing well, and hopefully, it doesn't impact them in terms of mentally, both on and off the pitch. So that's, what I have to say on the matter. I just hope that both of them are doing well.
I'm not pushing you on it, Fran, but you were there. Do you recognise anything that Mary Earps was describing?
I think you could ask any of the girls what I'm like when I'm on camp. I literally go out and train, I go and have meals, and then I go back to my bedroom. So, I don't know. And obviously, it's a different situation for goalkeepers. They train individually, they train away from the team, they come back in, to get involved in like 11v11 small-sided games. So I don't think I'm in a position to know, what exactly went on in that situation, nor have I been in a room and heard anyone speaking about it, gossiping about it, mainly because I don't really sit there and have them conversations. So obviously Mary felt strong enough about it to write it, but I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on. But I respect both of them highly, and I think they're both fantastic footballers, fantastic goalkeepers, and great role models for the women's game.
I mean, Fran, you've retired from international football. Domestically, you've achieved an enormous amount, and that rightly is recognised. In the time you have left in your career, and, you're 32 years of age. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, thanks. Let's just get it out there, shall we?
I'm telling myself in knots here. What's left for you to achieve in your eyes?
I mean, look, I would love to sit here and say that I would love to win a trophy with Brighton. I think, the way that we play football, the way the coach has us set up, the players that we have here are hungry. And I would love to be in a position where, if we can have a really good cup run, FA Cup run, get to have that day at Wembley again, that would be absolutely incredible. And I'm still hungry to win. Even though I've been able to win so many trophies throughout my career, I still come into training every day wanting to win in the small-sided games or whatever games we're putting on. I still want to win on the weekend. So I still have aspirations. Obviously, managing them expectations as well, I think has been tough for me, especially my first season here. But I just want to bring my attitude and my willingness to win into this changing room. And if I'm able to rub off on any of the girls and kind of how they're going to go throughout their career in terms of giving them that winning mentality, giving them that intelligence to go out there and play football the best way that they can, then that's a win for me. But, you know, I would be lying if I was going to sit here and say that's all I want to do, because I still want to get my hands on trophies and, you know, help teams as much as I can.
That was Brighton attacking midfielder Fran Kirby. Fran, thanks so much for the chat. And remember, Brighton and Hove Albion women's team back at the Amex this weekend. They take on Leicester. Tickets proving pretty popular at the moment, but you get value for money in the WSL. 15 quid for adults, £6 for concessions. Plus, if you fancy a bit of luxury at the Amex, how about a bit of hospitality? Lunch tickets priced at £25 for adults. Visit brightonandhovealbion.com for more information. We're at 11:15.
versus Ben on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
Big Fight Preview. Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
Well, that's right. Our Fight Week coverage continues as we build up to Eubank Jr. versus Ben, the rematch. It's a fight you can hear live on talkSPORT. You can watch all the action, of course, on DAZN at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium once again. Joining Simon and myself now to talk about that and a whole lot more is British heavyweight Dave Allen. Mr. Allen, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you again, mate. It's been a while. 1 month on today from, I think it's fair to say, and you'd agree, falling short in Sheffield to Arslanbek Makhmudov. As time goes on, Dave, do you still think you've got the same emotion, the same feeling about what happened on the night and what you might do now?
Yeah, I watched the fight back. I was unhappy with the performance. I thought I was pretty poor. And people say to me, like, oh, you can't say that, you did this and that. But the top and bottom of it is, I take myself out of the picture. I look at it from a different perspective. And I watched the performance and I said, well, that heavyweight there, he was poor, really, and he's capable of better. So I'm back. I'll be back in January. Have another go.
I mean, what happened? But what happened though, Dave? Because you lost via unanimous points. Makhmudov walked out the winner. Were you more afraid of losing that night in front of such a passionate home support?
Yeah, I think, preparation went well. No excuses at all. He was the better man on the night. I think a few factors came into play. One, him being pretty big and pretty good. And I think I underperformed a little bit. I think I wanted to win too bad. I think I went a little bit too defensive. I think I played the fight in my mind out so many times before the fight that all I needed to do was make him work and catch him at some point, and I got it wrong. It's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. So we go again January, and we'll see what I can do.
I mean, here am I saying to Dave, did you have a fear of losing? Makhmudov, 6'5.5". And I'm telling Dave, did you have a fear of losing?
No, Dave didn't have a fear of losing. He had a fear of perhaps not performing the way that the fans had turned out to watch him do, because the emotion that he walked into was so supportive. It's one of the challenges for these fighters when they want to have these fights inside the stadiums that are surrounded by their fan base, is it creates another set of pressure. Because he, of all people, wanted the emotion. I saw the emotion in his face when he walked into the ring. You heard the emotion after the fight. His fear is not about, just like Carl Froch's fear, it was never about getting knocked out or getting beaten. It was about not performing, and not performing in a situation like that, because these guys don't have fear.
Yeah.
Walk through into the ropes negates the fear factor, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned January. Against whom?
Not anybody of Makhmudov's level or above, hopefully. Just want to get back into winning ways and hopefully go back to Sheffield, headline again. And I like to take the biggest challenges, I think, for a few reasons. One, takes the pressure off a little bit. When I boxed Makhmudov, it took the pressure off, to be honest. It's nice to think people think, oh, he might get beat. I like that. I'm not good with pressure. I'm a nervous character, really. So we have a comeback fight. That's a must-win. That is definitely a must-win. And we win that, and then I go back and take the biggest challenge possible.
And again, do you have a rough idea the type of opponent you're looking at this time around, Dave? I mean, you're talking about going in against Johnny Fisher again, or what?
No, I think the Johnny Fisher stuff is done from my side of things. The next one, we'll box somebody that nobody's heard of. I would like to have an easy one. It's been a long time since I've had an easy one, so want to win. I need to win, and I'll be telling Eddie, look, I'll pick the opponent this time, and then I
picked him last time.
Well, I no, that's very funny you say that, because I did pick him out of a list of 5, and it wasn't a very nice list. So I'll give him a list of 5 this time. I'll tell him he can pick one of them.
Do you think? I mean, because a lot of us thought that Makhmudov, a lot of the shine had come off of him. He'd lost to Ajit Kabiel, and they'd taken away that sort of fear factor that people had of him. He then lost again, and coming into this fight, people were questioning whether you could out-heart him. Do you think that the best version of you could have beaten Makhmudov?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think to beat Makhmudov, you have to be a top 20 guy, maybe top 25. Lost to Kabiel, who I think is probably number 2.
Yeah.
Vianello, the Italian who beat him, was an Olympian. He's probably a top 15 guy. The same night he beat Alexis Barriere over in America. So I think you have to be a top 20 guy to beat Makhmudov, you know. And
Were you surprised with the way that he came out in the first couple of rounds? I mean, people felt that was likely to be the case, and that he might run out of gas going down towards the straight. But he just came in, took the centre of the ring, and ramrodded you from the first bell, didn't he?
Yeah, the honest. If we want to be honest about it, I'll tell you my honest opinion of it. The first 2 rounds, he was putting the pressure on. I was making him miss a little bit. He was working hard, and there was a chance there in the 3rd round I could start to push him back, and I shouldn't have done it. I should have let him keep working, kept punching.
Right.
I went and had a go at him, and in a lot of people's eyes that was brave to do, but it was probably the cowardly way of doing it. I took the power out of his shots. I started pushing him back. I'm in control of where the action's going, but it got into a rhythm. It was easy for me to push him back. That was the easy thing to do. I should have encouraged more pressure. I should have made him punch more. I should have kept, trying to get in his head a little bit, and I bottled it a little bit. That's what I felt at that time, because I should have kept encouraging the pressure and making him work. I let him get into a rhythm. He started using his jab, used 1-2, and it was too easy for him, to be honest. I feel like I could have given myself a much better chance of winning the fight, but there was a split second in round 3 where I had to make a choice. Do I push him back now, or do I keep encouraging the pressure? And I decided to do what was probably the easier option, to be honest.
You know, whenever you're on with us, Dave, one thing that always comes to my mind is how honest you are. You bottled it a bit.
Yeah, no, people that don't do boxing will not understand that, but there was a split second where it's like that. Pushing back, it becomes easier. But it enabled him to get into a rhythm, because he wasn't ready to be pushed yet. He wasn't ready at that point in time because he was still pretty fresh. It enabled him to get back behind his jab. It enabled him to get into a rhythm because he wasn't ready for going yet. I should have waited another 3 or 4 rounds and then done it. So, but it was easy for me to do that. It took the power out of his shots. It enabled me to be on the front foot, and I can decide when to work and when not to work. So that's the truth. Yeah, I'm not the best fighter in the world. So I don't mind saying it. I've got no ego or left. I've been beat 8 times. I've been beat 8 times, so there's no point lying. So that's how I felt. I was disappointed the next day, not because I lost, because I probably lost to the better man anyway, but I didn't give myself the best chance, and I made the wrong choice, and I think I could have won the fight.
I mean, clearly, you're always your own biggest critic. I know that because I've known you a number of years now. Yep. But there was talk recently that, right, who's next for Dave Allen? What about someone like Deontay Wilder? Would you say, yeah, I'll have that?
I would watch Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua Fury all on the same night. I'm not bothered. I'm not the best fighter in the world, but I'll fight anybody. I've got, boxing, the only time you're scared of losing is when you shouldn't be losing. So I've got more fear of this upcoming 8-rounder where I should win. I'm terrified. If I lose this, I'm done. And everyone will go, well, he's no good anyway. He just lost to an 8-rounder to someone we don't even know. But I can fight Makhmudov, I can fight Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and you all say he'll get beat there. I love that, no pressure. The only thing I'm scared of is losing, and losing to ones I should be winning, really. I know my part in the sport. I know what I am. I'm a decent fighter, but I'm not the best in the world. Just keep plodding on. That's what I do, and I don't lie about what I'm doing. I tell everyone the score, and I think that's why people have got an affinity with me, filling arenas, and I'm over the moon with what I've achieved with what I've got.
Brilliant. You always say it as it is. Dave, stay with us, because the other side of 11:30, we'll get Dave's view. He's going to be there on Saturday night. Are you not? You're going to be working, aren't you? Eubank Jr. Ben, and of course the small matter, should it happen, and we're told December, for AJ against Jake Paul. We'll get Dave's view on that. It is 11:30.
Is AJ destroying his legacy by agreeing to fight Jake Paul? Reports suggest AJ's agreed to face the YouTube-turned boxer in Miami next month. talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver is shocked by this comeback news.
We all about that journey to winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time and going down in the history books. We thought he was going to have a warm-up fight before going into a big fight, maybe in the summer with Tyson Fury.
You can get more on that at talksport.com. Now, ahead of England v Serbia live on talkSPORT tonight, Alan Pardew says there is a way you can play Kane, Foden and Bellingham in the same team. You just put one of England's number 10s on the left who'd come inside.
And then obviously you need a raiding left back, and O'Reilly was outstanding for Manchester City at the weekend. And Lewis Skelly, who, you know, hopefully will get enough games to be involved in the World Cup.
Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland need a result at home to Portugal tonight to have any chance of qualification for the World Cup. And Jaime Hallgrimsson's urging the officials not to be controlled by Cristiano Ronaldo.
A player shouldn't be refereeing. It should be the officials doing the refereeing. If they want to affect the game, they shouldn't at least affect the referee.
And ahead of the Ashes, injury concerns for England now. Fast bowler Mark Wood's become a doubt for the first test with a hamstring issue. There's loads of Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
Get in the ring to win on talkSPORT.
Well, it's your final chance to enter the fight everyone's talking about. Thanks to talkSPORT, you could be there. You've got until 1 o'clock today, within our show incidentally, for your chance to win 2 tickets to Eubank Junior Ben, the rematch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday. You'll enjoy a night in a 5-star London hotel, £5,000 spending money, the perfect weekend for you and a chum. Don't miss out. Here's how you can do it.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word BOX to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 13th of November at 1 p.m. and you need to answer our call to win. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and alongside us, British heavyweight Dave Allen in studio with us. What's next for Dave? We've kind of covered that. He'll fight again in January. At this stage, an unnamed opponent, but more will become clearer the closer we get to the end of the year. Dave, Eubank Junior Ben, the rematch. You're going to be there Saturday night. You're going to be working for talkSPORT, so good luck with it. Your thoughts on it? Because number 1 was won by Eubank Junior. What do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the first fight. I didn't think... Yeah, I talked it down a lot. I said, this is a middleweight, past his best, boxing a welterweight who's not boxed anybody, which is what I said at the time. And at the final bell, I said, you know what, I got it wrong because it was a cracking fight. I said, I can't believe what a good fight it was. I thought Eubank would play with him. I thought he'd be too big and too good. At the final bell, I thought Eubank hasn't got much left. Ben, fit and tough, but he needs to go back down in weight. So I thought after the fight, I thought, you know what, fair play, cracking fight. We don't need to see that again. I hope we wouldn't see it again, but we are.
You hoped we wouldn't see it?
Yeah, but it's a middleweight that's way past his best. Eubank now, like, if you, look, money makes the world go around, but go and win a middleweight title then. What are you boxing a welterweight again for? Go and box for the middleweight title. This is your last chance because you passed your best anyway. So
yeah, but Dave, you said there a moment ago you got it wrong. Because both delivered on the night.
Probably will be a good fight again. Yeah, I think.
No reason to think they can't do it again.
Yeah, of course it will. But if we're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, it's a middleweight past his best against a welterweight who we don't know how good this welterweight is. We still don't know because you haven't really boxed anybody. And I'm don't upset anybody, but that's my perspective of the fight.
You're grinning like a Cheshire cat because Dave is saying what you've said in the past, but Dave says it because he has the experience of having been in there.
True.
And punching and receiving punches where it hurts. But
we reach the same conclusion.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
We've got all the bases covered. He knows what he's talking about because he's been in a ring. And I've said the same thing as him because I'm objective, with no bias or particular motivation for saying the things I've said.
Well, Dave, you know the fight game. Are either of them world-level fighters?
I don't believe so, to be honest. Conor Benn, look, we'll ignore all the other stuff with Conor Benn. Conor Benn beat Algieri past his best, Van Heerden, and he was looking at proper prospects at welterweight, and I thought, I was getting excited about him. Ken Bartbox, Dobson, Okozo weren't impressive.
But that was at 154 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course, now he's at 160, so...
He's going back down to 147. If you look who's in 147...
But who's he beat at 147?
Well, he's beat that's been put in front of him. He beat Samuel Vargas. And I know that these fighters are past their best, but we're making a big song and dance about what Moses Atoma's doing to pass their best fighters. So we can do the same thing with Conor. If Conor goes back to 147, I think Conor can beat Mario Barris. I think he can put into a good fight against Lewis Crocker. And those are world title holders.
World title holders, yeah. Are we talking world title holders or world class?
Doesn't matter. If you win a world title, you're a world title holder. You can only beat what's in front of you.
Is a world title holder on every time world class? Would you say every world title holder is world class?
But that wasn't the question. The question was, can he win a world title?
Was that the question, or is he that he's world class?
Are they at world level?
World level.
Are they at world level? Do you think Conor Benn's a world level fighter right now?
Well, not
certainly not middleweight.
Not at 160. No.
No. Is he at 147?
Yeah, I think there's an argument for that.
Based on what, though?
I think the performance he was putting in prior to the controversies were escalating to a level that were giving you pause to thought that Conor could challenge for a world title. Now, whether he could have beaten the incumbent 147 fighters, whether he could have beaten a David Evaneson and people of that level, I don't know.
But Evaneson's come up well short at the top level.
He has. But the question is that sometimes people get world titles because they're engineered into the best fight that suits them. Stars make fights, as you know better than anybody.
Of course, yeah. I just don't think either are world level. I think Eubank was fringe at one point, but he's well past his best.
Do you think this time it will live up to what we saw the first time around?
Hopefully it's as good. Yeah, I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So where will it be won and lost, Dave?
They're both great fighters in terms of they're both super fit, super tough. You know, and the very good fighters. I'm not pulling anybody down. The question was, are they world class? The world class fighters are very few and far between. Talking genuine world class fighters, there isn't many about, and that's just the truth. There isn't. So, I think it'll be a good fight. Of course, yeah, I think they both want it, but the interest from me is minimal.
They are world level, though, aren't they? I mean, you look at. I mean, I've criticised Chris endlessly. But you look at the fight that he fought with Billy Joe Saunders, and I don't think there's any debate that Billy Joe Saunders was a world-level fighter and at times a world-class fighter.
Yeah, I think Eubank was a world-class fighter, fringe, but he isn't now.
No, I agree.
That's my opinion.
I agree.
So if you're not having Eubank Jr. Ben 2, then, Dave, presumably you're not having AJ Jake Paul.
Yeah, that's even worse. Terrible. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. I don't think it'll happen. Anthony Joshua, I've known Anthony Joshua a long time. Serious man, serious fighter. He's not boxing Jake Paul. No chance. It's a joke. And if it happens, I'll be very upset about it.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
It'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight, natural cruiserweight. And he's like, you wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber. On the strength of what you're saying, though, Dave, if AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him, and I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect from when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect from Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion in the mixed martial arts. Big fella, big serious. Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, And 2, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid?
I mean, a few more quid. I mean, that's it though, Dave. It would be fortunes, or could be. We mentioned earlier, Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul, and 60 million watched it.
I don't like it. I hope it don't happen. I don't think Anthony Joshua will do it. I really don't think he will. I really hope not.
Elsewhere, and we are talking serious fighters here, Fabio Wardley beat Joseph Parker. Simon and I were there. It propels him towards Alexander Usyk. What could he do, Fabio, against Usyk?
I was in shock, really. I didn't give him a chance of beating Parker. Parker on such a great run. Parker, who's been around forever, top amateur, been world champion, before Fabio started the unlicensed stuff, I believe. So Fabio Wardley's so fit, so tough. I think he has an awkwardness about him that comes from not being the most best schooled. I've wrote Wardley off in every fight now for the last 8 fights. I've not given him a chance of winning anything. Can he beat Usyk? Again, I would say no. Not a chance. No chance. 0 chance. I give Jake Paul more chance of beating Anthony Joshua. That's the kind of chance.
Can anyone beat Alexander Usyk?
Yeah, time will beat him. Time will beat him. And at this point now at 38, that could happen. I will never write Wardley off again. But if he beats Usyk, I'll be very, very surprised.
Simon mentioned the other name a short time ago, Moses Atoma. We now know is going to fight Jermaine Franklin on January the 24th. Is that a good development fight for Moses?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's the right fight. We saw Franklin box Disco last time. It looked terrible. He got a very lucky decision. But Franklin on his day, we saw him box Joshua, Dylan White, real world-class fighters, and he held his own. He's tough. He'll give a time of the rounds. I expect Starmer to win because I do believe he's the real deal, but I think Franklin will take him rounds, give him something to think about. And my personal belief is that he'll take a time of the full distance.
Okay, well, Dave, we're going to be hearing from you again because on Saturday night you'll be ringside at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for us here at talkSPORT. Just give it to me again. Eubank Jr., Ben 2. Who wins it?
I'm going to stick with Eubank. I think he's still too big. Still too big, yeah. That's the thing about the fight. I think for Ben to win, Eubank has to be on the slide. So Conor Ben can't really win.
You're going up in the world. I hear you've got a beautiful new house in Doncaster with a very nice bathroom.
Yeah, but I lost my last fight, so I'm still not very good at boxing. So
nonsense.
No, that's what people will say, so it don't matter. But my house is nice, got a good bathroom. Thank you very much to the people. I'll just put it in. Cheers.
Dave Allen with us live on the show. And remember, Saturday night, Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2. It's live on talkSPORT, but you can watch it live on DAZN.
Jr. versus Ben on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered.
We'll catch you next time.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And at this stage in the proceedings, we're joined by Sean Martin from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the top events and the odds round and about them. To put you on notice, if you like, Matchroom Chairman Eddie Hearn in the building. Just arrived in reception on his way to the studio here on the 17th floor. Eddie will join us live 12 noon onwards. And let's stay in the theme of boxing. Sean, AJ against Jake Paul, Eubank Jr. versus Ben. Where do we go with all this, mate?
Morning, lads. I mean, how do you follow Big Dave Allen? Jeez, oh.
He was good, wasn't he?
I was tempted to try hit you with a 3 to 4 minute poem by way of an introduction, to be fair, but I'll spare you that pain and quickly give you the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul odds instead. Yeah. We've got AJ 20 to 1 on, should the fight happen, and Jake Paul 9.5 to 1 if you're interested in that sort of thing, though I very much side with the Simon and Dave Allen view of things on that. Big rematch this weekend as well, of course, but I must say also looking forward to the other rematch in the next hour, Simon versus Eddie Hearn too. No odds on it, mind you, but I'll be tuning into it for sure. But yeah, Eubank Jr. Ben, got to say on that it was good to see and hear Joe Gallagher on yesterday just before I was on with you.
Yeah.
And I think he's likely called it spot on. I'm not necessarily expecting it to be quite the same barnstormer as the first fight, like the dad's second fight, as Joe mentioned. And I think Eubank Jr. to win it again by decision is the shout. That's just over 2 to 1, so bit of value there for folk if they agree with Joe's view. Generally speaking, Eubank Jr.'s 11 to 20 odds to win are almost identical to before the first fight, as is the 15 to 1 for the draw, and Ben's odds of 29 to 20 this time only a hair shorter than before the first fight. In terms of stoppages, you can get Eubank by KO, TKO or DQ at just under 2 to 1. Ben by stoppage is just over 3 to 1, and Ben by decision rated the most unlikely of those kind of outcomes at over 4 to 1. Lest we forget though, there's also a co-main event on Saturday with Jack Catterall taking on Echo Esserman. I heard Jack with you lads on Monday saying that he anticipates stopping him, and the odds for that are actually a pretty attractive 13 to 2, but of course he hasn't stopped anyone since 2019, coming off that unanimous technical decision win over Harlem Eubank last time, his first fight at welter. Esserman beat Josh Taylor in Glasgow back in May, but he's only got 8 stoppages and 22 wins himself. So realistically, Simon, there's a reason it's 5 to 1 on for that fight to go the distance, isn't there? But it's good that Jack's looking to chase a stoppage by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fight as well. I mean, it's a good fight for both fighters for different reasons. I mean, Jack Catterall should be a world champion at a different weight class. He's now pursuing opportunities at a bigger weight. And Echo's been and around with opportunities and comes again after defeating Josh Taylor. I would be surprised if there's a stoppage, but what I think you'll see is a good fight.
Yeah.
And then if I were watching the fight, which I won't be, that would be the fight I was watching.
You watch that, presumably. You might not just stay.
No. I mean, I'll probably watch it on Sunday, because if I don't watch the bloody thing, I won't be able to talk about it on Talk Boxing on Tuesday, and I'll be forced to talk about it, even if I don't want to.
He'll be watching it, Sean. He'll be watching
on Sunday.
Echo's been in and around. He's been in and around. Did you get that? England Serbia tonight, then, Sean. Live in talkSPORT. What are we thinking?
Yep, England in the World Cup qualifiers pretty much been invincible. Played 6, won 6, scored 18, conceded none. No reason not to expect similar tonight, even with potentially a few changes. The only other aspect to really consider is for Serbia, this is a must not lose if they have any chance of a playoff spot. They've got a new manager, it's his debut tonight, but the odds of 11-1 to win and 19-4 the draw tell you how big a task he faces. Not least because Thomas Tuchel has Harry Kane leading the charge. He's got 23 goals and 3 assists for Bayern this season, and also, crucially, potentially 23 goals and 20 World Cup qualifiers for England. The guy just doesn't let up. You've got the likes of Marcus Rashford, Jude Bellingham to consider, of course, but sometimes, I mean, we were talking about it this morning, sometimes you just don't overthink it. And in that respect, England to win 2-0 and Kane to both score and assist, which he's done 8 different times for England. It is a big ask, but it is Harry Kane. Is a nice big 12-1 to happen this evening at Wembley, guys.
Okay. Yep. Who is it? Dragan Stojkovic is the manager tonight. We shall see. Tall order, but you'd expect England to do it. Would you not, Sam?
Yes.
To notch up another win?
He's not the Southampton man, is he? No, of course he's not.
No, he's not. He's not. The Grand Slam of darts. How's that accumulator you mentioned yesterday? How did that come along, Sean?
Surprisingly, it did actually come in, Jim. Yeah, admittedly, after a couple of hairy moments last night.
Wow.
Gerwyn Price versus Martin Schindler ended bang on the 10-6 minimum mark that I mentioned yesterday. And Chris Dobey did us a favour by hitting a couple of 180s before losing out to Michael Smith. Don't know if you saw the end of that one, guys, but 18 missed match darts between them in the final leg before Smith finally hit it. Crazy stuff. It was like me and my old man trying to finish a leg in the Rileys. Tonight it's the final 4 last 16 ties. German derby, first up between Lucas Venig and Nico Springer. Springer the 4-9 favourite for that. Josh Rock then goes off heavy favourite against Connor Scott. Luke Littler, he's on tonight, the same heavy favourite against the very talented Dutchman Wessel Nijman. And the anchor match is between the Dutch number 1, Michael van Gerwen, and Dutch number 3, Danny Noppert. As yesterday, I've looked about our kind of various darts markets for a bit of interest in all 4 matches. Landed on Nico Springer to win, Josh Rock to win and hit the most 180s in his match. 10 or more 180s in Luke Littler versus Wessel Nijman, and at least 2 ton-plus checkouts in Van Gerwen versus Noppert, which, as a fourfold, is slightly better odds than last night's at just over 3.5 to 1, lads.
Okay. Terrific stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Sean. We'll bear in mind everything you have just given us. Visit betmgm.uk or download the app. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So it happened. He was officially appointed yesterday. Rob Edwards, appointed as Wolves' new manager, confirmed with a flurry of statements on all sides. And Simon, I know you've been critical of Edwards for making this move from Middlesbrough, who you believe gave him a chance back in the game after his experience at Luton. But Edwards is there nonetheless, and he takes over from this point onwards. Wolves have it all to do to stay in the Premier League. Says Edwards, it's been one of the toughest decisions of my career. I wouldn't have considered leaving Middlesbrough for any other club. He goes on to say, Middlesbrough is an incredible club with a fantastic owner, staff and passionate supporters. I want to thank everybody, etc., etc., etc. I sincerely wish everyone at Middlesbrough all the very best for the rest of the season and beyond. You got to take that at face value, don't you? That he wishes everybody at the club all the best, and he actually hopes that they can do it, no doubt, and get up to the Premier League promised land.
What have I got to take at face value? Of that sanctimonious saccharine crap? What's he going to turn around and say then? He's let everybody down. Undoubtedly, he's let everybody down. And of course he'd leave it for another football club. So if Man United phoned him up and said, do you want the job? Oh, no, I can't come join you. No, because I'd only go to Wolves. I mean, what rubbish. Look, he's moved on. And like most things in sport, people have got short memories. We'll see how he gets on. I mean, often in life, people with lacking integrity and liars and cheats prosper, and maybe Wolves will stay up.
I mean, it's a 3.5-year deal, Simon. So he's not in there to firefight, is he? The Wolves hierarchy have said, no, seriously, Rob Edwards, you're our man. Not for the here and now, yes, but looking longer term, definitely yes. So, I mean, fair play to him.
It's a fantastic sight to behold because it's based upon what? Relegating Luton from the Premier League and League One. And that gives you the idea that he's worth a 3.5-year contract. If he's not successful, if Wolves go down this season and they start next season poorly, would you like to place a bet that Rob Edwards will still be in his job? So whether they've given him a 3.5-year contract, which means nothing, it's probably got a whacking great big caveat in there in terms of what they have to pay him if he isn't successful. Listen,
but lies and cheats. I think into a new job. I mean, I think that's over the top.
Well, that's my view. I think lacking integrity is a form of lying and cheating. I think you took a job, and I'm sure that when you sat down with Steve Gibson and you took the job, and I'm a hardliner on this, and people won't agree with it, and I don't care. You took a job with Steve Gibson, and I'm pretty damn sure that he told Steve Gibson that he was there for the long term. He peddled a load of old crap out to the Middlesbrough public when he took the job on. So what did happen then? What happened to that then? Oh, I know what happened to it. The only job in football that he would take came up. Because that's the get out of jail card. That's the passing of the obligation that he's now withdrawn from. He sat in front of the Middlesbrough fans and said, I only want players that want to play for this football club. I only want people that are committed to it. I only want people that want to stay here. We're going to build this as a family and as a unit, and we're going to be together and successful together. What happened to all that then? Oh, I get it. It was a pack of lies. Oh, it's not a pack of lies because the only job in football that he would take came up. So if a big job like Aston Villa or a big job like Man United came up and said to him, would you like to manage those clubs? No, because the only job I want is Wolves. It's rubbish. And what it negates is the argument that I'm making. It negates any curiosity about the lack of integrity, the lack of honesty, the lack of substance that the Middlesbrough fan base, and it is the rules of the engagement, it's the rules of the jungle. Yeah. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't say, oh, that's okay then, let's all move on then.
Okay, managers come and go. Of that we know. Dragan Stojkovic, no longer, of course, Serbia manager. It's Veljko Paunovic who's in charge, and he takes Serbia in against England tonight.
Correcting yourself there, were you?
In a subtle way. Simon, obviously in a prickly mood, so this is going to make it even more entertaining than it might have been, because for the next hour, we're going to be in the company of one of Simon's many adversaries out there.
You'll make sure it's prickly. You
damn right I will.
Goblin you.
Matchroom chairman Eddie Hearn joins us live.
knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
No, I don't think so. No.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025, there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
Mid-mornings and into the afternoon as well. It's Thursday afternoon, Thursday, November the 13th. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Wherever you want to watch us, you can. Samsung, Apple TV, Chromecast, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch this show, you will find Mr. Jordan and myself. 2 days away from Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the rematch. It's a fight you can hear on talkSPORT and you can watch only on DAZN.
Big Fight Preview, Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
I'm neither mind nor thought. I cannot be heard or cast into thought, nor by sight or smell ever caught. In light and wind I am not found, nor yet in earth and sky. Consciousness and joy incarnate, bliss of the blissful am I. The purpose of it is always that we are entertaining the public.
He's here! Both guys here! Going for it! So hard!
I have nothing to say to Nigel. I find the man intolerable in that he's so wild.
All I wanted to do was rip his head off.
After an atmosphere and a contest like this, they surely have to do it again.
What did my son want to do? Rip his head off.
Sympathy, then his toenail sympathy, the ambulance sympathy.
One of the toenails on my big toe fell off.
When is he going to understand? Nobody cares.
These rivalries do tend when they share their souls in the ring for our entertainment.
Never seen anything like this!
The souls and the spirits entwined forever.
Oh wow, 48 hours to go. Our fight coverage continues this afternoon with DAZN, and we're doing that in the company of top boxing promoter Eddie Hearn, who has joined Simon and myself here in studio. Eddie, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. We're a bit close. So you've changed the studio around.
Yes.
We used to sort of
lob it back to each other over there.
Yeah,
now,
you were there and he was over there,
Yeah.
but it's all changed now.
Well,
because peace has broken out between the two of you.
Is this approaching the season of goodwill? No. Listen, you guys are doing a great job for boxing, and I've listened to, and at the moment, I agree with quite a lot that Simon's saying, which is a bit troubling. And I told him that earlier, and he went, "Oh, you've seen the error of your ways." I went, "Hang on a minute, mate. What about you've just started speaking sense?" But particularly stuff about Frank Smith, I love, because I just rib Frank Smith myself the whole time. So
Right.
yeah, at the moment, you've put us a little bit closer. I don't know.
Well, I mean, at one stage, you used to call Eddie the snake oil salesman, and
I
Eddie
still
used
do.
to call you a disc jockey.
He did. Yeah, he did.
But no longer.
Probably.
Is Eddie your best pal
I'm
now?
probably more accurate in my assessments. No, listen. I mean, I started the argument because I called him a coward about the approach to the Conor Benn situation 2 or 3 years ago. He then played the man by talking about the colour of my hair and whether I had pierced ears and whether he met me in Marbella, and it went from there. Do I think Eddie's a bit of a tit sometimes? Yeah, I do. But I'm sure he thinks the same of me. But do I
think the same of myself.
Do I admire his? Have I always admired his business? Have I always admired the achievements of it? You can't not do. You can't not do. Look at the scale of this business. Look at how that successful it is in boxing, in snooker, and in darts. Is that by chance, by luck?
Yeah, but for a while you wouldn't refer to him as Eddie as I do. It was Barry Hearn's son. That was a bit petty, wasn't it?
No, it's true, isn't it? He's Barry Hearn's son.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call him Eddie. This is Eddie.
Is that your recollect?
Actually, not.
There you go.
I mean,
well done.
but there was always, listen, there's always going to be look, you had a leg up. Of course, listen, my dad was a Hall of Fame promoter. I mean, I grew up in a nice house. I can't help it.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
But I'd like to think I've put a lot of graft in over the years, and we've done very well. But it doesn't really matter. As long as I can look in the mirror and say, life is good and we're happy, we're happy. But
well, ironically, much of the original disagreement between you two centred around this fight when it was cancelled in 2022. Yeah. And the protagonists and the fallout, 3 years on, Eddie, can you believe it? Could you have ever have envisaged that we're now heading into a rematch between Eubank Jr. and Conor?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think that was a treacherous couple of years. I've got to be honest with you. It wasn't overly pleasant. I actually look back on that period quite fondly in terms of what it taught me, a little bit of resilience that you build as well during that period. The first fight delivered, even though I thought it was a pretty poor performance from Conor Benn, even by his own admission, and Tony Sims and the team, it delivered a night that fight fans left Tottenham Hotspur, or when they turned off the zone and went, that was unbelievable. And for me, that makes me very proud. We lost though, and I hate losing. So to do it again this Saturday is an absolute joy. Another packed night at Tottenham, but we need a better performance from Conor. We need a more composed performance. We need a man that's not fighting off pure emotion. We want a little bit of that, and he's a Ben. And we need to always fight off emotion. But he can be so much better. And I want to see him win. I really do. And I believe he'll do it on Saturday.
Is it an easier or harder fight to sell second time around?
I mean, sometimes you hear the narrative of, why do we need to see that again? I flip it and say, well done. We just saw one of the best fights we've seen in British boxing history. I would like to see it again. The fact that we will have another 68,000 at Spurs tells you there is huge demand for the fight. When you talk about great fights for British boxing, outside of AJ and Fury, tell me a better one.
But Dave Allen sat in that seat moments ago, Eddie, and said,
why do up his contract? I heard that.
Why do we need to say it again? You, Simon, say it's rewarding mediocrity. I mean, there aren't many out there who are absolutely 100% having it.
And that's fine. And that's those that are and those that aren't. My view on it is it's unfinished business because they didn't manage to rinse enough money first time around. There's an opportunity to double dip. But we've all got our opinions. My opinion is mine, and it's relevant to me. It's not about being stuck in a corner. It's not about being against Eddie Hearn and his gang. It's my view of the fight. I'm a sort of an insider in the media with an outsider's attitude because I dislike what the media does at times, where it curates things and turns everything into nostalgia and turns people into mugs. And people buy sand when they think it's water. And I look at this and go, declining middleweights against pumped-up welterweights, trading on the family's names. If you put a Smith in against a Jones, no one will be buying this. The achievements of the two fighters in the ring don't merit the returns. But if people are prepared to pay it, then that's their gift. And if he can promote it, I'm amazed that he would say, in all seriousness, that he didn't see the opportunity for this fight to have the sort of scale, because that's why he wanted it in the first place. And always in his thinking would have been, well, if there's one fight gets happened, I'm damn sure there can be two. And ultimately, it's probably delivered precisely what he wanted. Engineering a fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank has no business being made from a welterweight against a middleweight that potentially is being argued should be fighting at super middleweights. It's there because of the theatre. And he's created that.
And you wouldn't
like
deny
it
that,
alone,
Eddie.
I mean,
with the fathers,
the narrative and the storyline for a promoter is pure common sense to make this fight.
It's a dream,
honestly.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a dream.
The one thing I would say is you can build a narrative, you can create this moment and this fight, but if it doesn't deliver and if it doesn't give fight fans value for money, it's all a wash.
Yeah.
We cannot deny that everybody that watched that fight, apart from Simon Jordan, absolutely loved it. They did. They loved it. Everybody that left Spurs went, wow, what a night. And I bet you on Saturday night, everyone will go, wow, once again. It'll be full of drama.
Yeah.
It'll be full of heart.
Yeah, he's right. I was one of the...
See, here's a mischaracterisation, and he does this very well.
Thank you.
And what he does, he takes you off in different directions and deflects from what you've actually said. He did it in the 2 arguments we had last year about whether he had a contract that could have terminated a fight, or whether VARDA was a legitimate agency that could be utilised to uphold a failed drug test. Both of those he redirected from, and both he was wrong. I didn't say the fight wasn't a good fight. I said that's the least you can expect. If these 2 boys and him have made this much noise about this fight, let's not reward what people should be doing. Let's not turn around and say how fantastic something is, because we live in a society where so rarely do we get actually what we should be getting. What those 2 boys put into that fight is undeniable. It was a barroom brawl.
And many
right?
fights don't live up to their billing.
And they should be called out for what they are. But when we start turning around and going, well, actually, we've got 2 legends that are their fathers, whose names are being traded off here, being built up into a fight, ultimately the 2 fighters that have not achieved anything in the ring of real significance to be able to merit this kind of return. If they don't give it all, then there's something wrong, and that's my view.
Simon, you can never underestimate what it takes to go through those horrible dark places.
Agreed.
We could never...
Agreed.
You can't just say, your dad's famous, so you had to go to those trenches. Mate, what they did that night was...
And that's a fair comment.
Brutal. I mean, we have to give these 2 respect. I agree with what... Yeah,
I agree.
I think with what you say...
I agree.
And Conor is a world-class fighter. That night, he didn't perform anywhere near what he can be. And hopefully this Saturday, you'll go, fair play, that was a hell of a performance. That's what we want. We want a great
I wasn't surprised by Conor being as game as he was. I thought everyone thought that Conor was going to get blown out by a bigger fighter.
No, but...
I thought Conor would make the kind of impression
I know
he did.
that Conor's a world-class fighter. He can be much better. But what they both showed, and I'm not a Eubank fan, but I give him utmost respect, because there were times in that fight, I looked at both of them, and I thought... There is only a milli% of the global population that could even think about going through what they're going through now. So it's not just, well, your dad was Chris Eubank, so it's your duty. No, what they've done was unbelievable.
I'm with you on that, Eddie. Of course, the fight is live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. It's live on DAZN. You can watch it live on DAZN. The fathers, as we have described, were a very big part to the build-up of the last one. And it's the same case this time around, because both the dads were in this very studio earlier on the week. We'll look at that next.
Big fight preview. Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN. fight preview. Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
You can indeed. At the moment, we're coming up to 12:20 this Thursday lunchtime. Is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn. We're live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Ben 2, live this Saturday night from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium here in North London, live in talkSPORT. You can watch it live on DAZN. It hasn't gone unnoticed, boys, that you two have become the best of pals. There is Terry, a big boxing fan. Best of chums, loving this lunchtime loving, as Terry calls it.
Lunch, actually. We're going to go for a nice lunch after.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
That's nice, Eddie. It's nice to hear.
I think Simon should replace me at the press conference tonight. I'd like that.
That might wrong foot Chris Eubank Jr. The fathers, Eddie, are a huge dynamic to this. And as we saw, and I was there, the roof came off when Chris Eubank Sr. came out of that car. That was a moment and a half. But considering his previous criticism of believing promoters like yourself were trying to murder his son, were you surprised that he did attend it? And will he attend it again this weekend?
No, because he loves a pound note. And I'm not, I mean, the reality is everybody with half a brain knew what went on. But I'm glad he was there. And I think he should have been there. I'm sure he'll attend on Saturday. I'm not sure if he's attended any training camps or any family dinners or I don't know. In the meantime, maybe he hasn't seen him since the fight. But he's doing the media rounds in a fight that he's absolutely disgusted with, apparently. And I hope...
Why?
Because he's not involved. But you have to remember what has happened here during this process. Chris Eubank Jr. did what I actually thought he would never do, which was turn around during his career and go, do you know what? I'm not actually that happy with the decisions that are being made and that my voice is being heard, and I'm going to start to control my own career now. And that was why the fallout happened. I think what he did was quite admirable, and I think the dad should have said, you know what, son? All right, I'll take it on the chin. You go and do your thing. I'm your dad, blah, blah, blah. Then that's where the disconnect happened.
I don't think there's any dispute in that. I think Chris Eubank Sr. will say exactly the same thing in his own way, but he'll say that was indeterminable ingratitude, and every opportunity that's been afforded his son has been afforded by him, and every piece of advice he's given him have got him to where he is. The press conference that he does now is because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The opportunities he's had in the ring to be able to achieve the returns he's got has been as a result of him.
Yeah.
And so you'll never shift Eubank Sr. off that, but he won't dispute that version of events. He'll say exactly that, that ultimately this kid should be doing what I tell him to do because I'm his old man.
And that's wrong as far as I'm concerned. Because a lot of the advice that he gave him, because everything's centred around him anyway. Don't forget, I worked with Chris Eubank Jr. I was at the press conferences that we had with him. It was the Chris Eubank Senior show. Oh, and guess what? My son's fighting. And Junior wanted to come out of those shadows, and I think he was right to do it.
Right.
And by the way, what he's done and the money that he's made and the moves that he's made have actually proved he was right to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because now, listen, Chris Eubank Senior would have made the Conor Ben fight in an absolute heartbeat. What, my son fighting at his championship weight against a guy 2 divisions below him for a record purse twice? I mean, that would actually be called great strategic management.
Yeah.
And Eubank Senior would have jumped all over it. He would have taken his 25% and he would have gone, what a night, thank you very much, etc. The reality is he's off the team and he's not happy about it.
Okay.
Right?
So
And
earlier this week, Eddie, you probably heard it. Nigel Benn was in the studio with Simon and myself. We had an hour with Nigel. We had half an hour with Chris Eubank Sr. And Nigel mentioned while he was in with us that Eubank Sr. had been paid to turn up to the first fight. He'd been paid to turn up. But Eubank Sr. was having none of that.
Paid? You can't buy me. I don't work that way.
But were you paid?
You were paid. So hold on. So Simon has come in there and he's actually now he wants to press the point. I was not paid a penny, and I didn't take a penny. I was offered money. I would never take a money. You know why? You know why? Because integrity doesn't work that way. That's why I'm done, Gorgon. That's why I am trusted. That's why I am loved. Why? Because I am true.
Did he take a penny?
You didn't pay the next bit where he said he wasn't offered money, because he said that he was offered a lot of money And then you asked him if he was offered money. He said, no, I wasn't offered money. So I wasn't sure which one it was.
Well, you must know.
Well, I don't know, because it would have been an arrangement between Turk El Sheikh and Chris Eubank Sr., him attending. There was
You said earlier he loves a pound note.
Oh, listen, I know that. And, you know, Chris talks about integrity, and he's not that kind of guy. I mean, this is the same guy. You know, my father and Chris Eubank Sr. went on the most unbelievable journey. Chris Eubank Sr. came into my dad's office on a bus. I think he was living virtually rough on the streets of Atlantic City. And he came in to meet my father, and they went on the most incredible journey together. They were inseparable. Both men actually said in interviews, I would take a bullet for this man. My dad made Chris Eubank a load of money. Eubank was a huge part of Matchroom's growth during that period as well. My dad was best man at his wedding. They were inseparable. I said this in the break. I wasn't actually going to say it, but I really couldn't care less, because I think I'm listening to that drivel. And I just think about the time when my dad had his 60th birthday party, and I wanted to bring everybody together that really meant something to him, all the special people in his life. So I made the call to Senior. And the first thing he said to me was, is there an appearance fee? And I actually could not believe what I heard. And I will never, ever forget him saying those words. And when I said no, he said, will you pay for my driver instead? And I did pay for the driver. And I gave him 300 quid outside the gates of Maskell's for his driver to drive him from Brighton. And I thought, I'll never forget that. I will never, ever forget. And I don't like the guy. And I told my dad all along, I don't like this guy. And my dad has always said to me, he's my man, Eubank. No, I won't have a bad word said about Eubank. Even when I told my dad, he asked for an appearance fee to come.
So you still don't like him?
I don't like him, because I listen to those interviews, and I think sometimes it borders along, you know, of a sort of narcissistical delusion, and then just pure lies. And actually, Simon called him out. Frotch and Groves did a great job with him this week of calling him out when he talked about, you know, and what he's saying about me. I just can't believe his feeling of like, it's like this pure hatred, and we've never really got on. But like when he talks about it breaking the rules, it's, you know, this is awful. It's like, what are you talking about? No, it was only Simon who said, hang on, your son's fighting at his natural weight. Conor Benn's coming up 2 divisions. Yes, but it's hard for him to make the weight. Of course it's hard for him to make the weight. It's hard for 99.9%. But by the way, he's making the decision to fight at the weight. And better still, Jim, this is all, the whole thing is my fault, the fight. I didn't even make the fight. I haven't even got a contract with Chris Eubank Jr. The fight was made by Turk El Sheikh, who made an offer to Chris Eubank Jr., which he signed. He knew the full terms, and he went ahead with that. I mean, it's like no one said to him, you better take this fight. And by the way, he's reaping the rewards, and he goes into the fight on Saturday as another favourite.
How do you feel when you read the Times this week and Eubank Sr. says, the promoter, Eddie Hearn, is openly trying to damage my son, and the public watch this and still no one says anything?
Because, I mean, how can you, if you've got half a brain cell, it's the most bizarre comments you could actually even hear. I mean,
but you need them. But you need him in and around it, all the promotion of it.
I mean, it's good for numbers.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
Did we need him to make the fight? No. Should he be there? Absolutely. He has a son who is fighting in one of the biggest fights in British boxing history in front of 70,000 people against the guy who he had the greatest rivalry with. It's against his son. How can you not be there? And it took it to the death last time, and someone's intervention to actually get him to be there. And like, I listen to what he's saying, and I just think, you know, I mean, most of it, complete waffle. You know, I mean, he comes in, he does a 4-minute poem, and then you're so confused by the whole thing. But what I won't, you know, when you're saying that I'm trying to damage his son, I didn't even make the offer to your son. I've just got Conor Benn. We received an offer from Turk El Sheikh. Our answer was, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, I must say, Eddie, Simon and I were baffled by the 4-minute poem when he joined us the other day. As entertaining as it was, there's also the small matter of Ambulance Gate. There's also the small matter of AJ against Jake Paul. Is that going to happen in December? We'll ask this man next. Stay with us. Eddie Hearn with us live on talkSPORT.
Is AJ destroying his legacy by agreeing to fight Jake Paul? Reports suggest AJ's agreed to face the YouTube-turned boxer in Miami next month. talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver is shocked by this comeback news.
We all thought it was about that journey to winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time and going down in the history books. We thought he was going to have a warm-up fight before going into a big fight, maybe in the summer with Tyson Fury.
You can get more on that at talkSPORT.com. Now, ahead of England v Serbia live on talkSPORT tonight, Alan Pardew says there is a way you can play Kane, Foden and Bellingham in the same team. You just put one of England's number 10s on the left who'd come inside.
And then obviously you need a raiding left back, and O'Reilly was outstanding for Manchester City at the weekend. And Lewis Skelly, who, you know, hopefully will get enough games to be involved in the World Cup.
Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland need a result at home to Portugal tonight to have any chance of qualification for the World Cup. And Jaime Hallgrimsson's urging the officials not to be controlled by Cristiano Ronaldo.
A player shouldn't be refereeing. It should be the officials doing the refereeing. If they want to affect the game, they shouldn't at least affect the referee.
And ahead of the Ashes, injury concerns for England now. Fast bowler Mark Wood's become a doubt for the first test with a hamstring issue. There's loads of Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
Big Fight preview, Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
It is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn. We're live on talkSPORT. Eddie, of course, promoting Saturday night, the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Eddie promoting Conor Ben Shalom, promoter of Chris Eubank Jr. It's live on talkSPORT. You can hear it live with us. You can watch it live on DAZN. So much pertaining to the build-up, of course, and so much of it pertains to Chris Eubank Jr. and Senior. One of the allegations, Eddie, and it's gone on and on and on, this so-called ambulance gate. The allegations made against you by Eubank Jr. and made very publicly against you, that his ambulance was blocked from leaving the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last time around, and it was a matter of life and death, and he holds you responsible. If you're watching live this lunchtime on your TV, you can see it. Eubank Jr. in that ambulance, you can see, with various people on their mobile phones in and around it. Were you alarmed when you first heard this allegation?
I couldn't believe it. I mean, we were sitting at the press conference and, you know, firstly, obviously, safety of the fighters is paramount. I've worked around this sport. I've unfortunately seen people lose their lives in front of my eyes at my shows. I love the sport of boxing more than anything in the world, and I respect the fighters more than anything in the world, regardless of how I feel about an individual. The medical services and the safety on the night is all done under the strictest of protocol, and also run by the British Boxing Board of Control and the emergency services. I had no idea Chris Eubank was going to hospital until I think we were about to walk into the press conference of the fight. It was, I don't know what it was, 1 a.m, whatever it was. And then at the press conference last time, he did just the most incredible thing, which was accuse me of actually stopping the ambulance from leaving, which I took very, very personally. And even my you know, the people that really truly don't like me spoke out and said, one, that's just impossible, and two, that's untrue. So look, the legal stuff, and I'd like to, you know, consider myself one of the least litigious of boxing promoters out there, but I feel like, and you know, I'm probably sure even Simon would agree, you just can't say things like that when you're talking about the reputation of an individual and our business when we care so much for the sport.
So are you suing him?
Absolutely. You know, and I'm not suing. I want an apology and I want a retraction of the comment. Now, some people listening to this, you know, station right now say, oh, well, CEO is going, no. If you care about something that deeply, if you're so passionate about something, if this business, if this reputation means everything to you, you're not going to allow people to say that. And what he said was outrageous. Everything is recorded from the British Boxing Board of Control and the emergency services. We know exactly what happened on the night. You know, he didn't. They asked to take him to the ambulance apparently, and he said, "No, I'm fine. I want to walk there." Then moaned about how long the walk was. I mean, I heard Senior say he was touch and go in the ambulance. I mean, like, you know, the reality is, I have no problem with Eubank saying it's very important that we get, you know, the safety of the fighters and they get to the hospital as soon as possible. I couldn't agree more. What you cannot do is lie about the fact that somehow I stopped the ambulance from leaving the venue. It is ridiculous.
I take it, Simon, you would take a similar view.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, unless you can actually substantiate it rather than just fling it around because it's a narrative that you want to spin because you've done throwing eggs in the other fighter's face, you've done telling Eddie Hearn to shut up at a press conference, and you're done being able to wheel your father out as a reveal, then the next narrative is, what can I say next? I think the press conferences he's done by calling them all scumbags or whatever is, you know, fun and interesting to hear. If I was in his shoes, would I sue him? I would sue him uphill and down dale. Not because I want the money, because whatever money I got out of the consequences of his utterings would be given to charity, but because I want to say this is my reputation you're playing about with here, and whether you don't like me or not, that's one thing. If you're going to turn around and say that I have deliberately put you in a way of harm by deliberately stopping you, then you're moving into a territory which is reputational damage, which is taking me into a space which is seeded in people's minds and will damage my business, my reputation, and my standards. I don't think so, my old son.
Have you
better stand that up.
Have you had a lot of grief following it?
Because unfortunately, you live in a world where people don't. I mean, some people aren't the most logical, and you know, anyone of, you know, I don't want to be condescending, but like most people know that just wouldn't happen ever. But unfortunately, some people go, "Is this true? I can't believe it, Eddie Hearn. How can you stop the ambulance from leaving?" I'm saying, are you actually serious? Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, forget it's my company, forget it's my reputation. Anyone that I didn't even know, that they're in an ambulance to go to the hospital. I mean, like, it's just, I found it quite shocking. And unfortunately, what we said to his team was, listen, mate, you can call me what you want, right? You can don't like me, you can, but what you can't, so you have to just say, overstep the mark on that one. Obviously, Eddie didn't stop the ambulance, but let's make sure we learn from anything that happened. I dress it up how you want. But unfortunately, his stubbornness, you know, won't, and that's why you won't hear him say it again.
He'll step back from it in the same way he stepped back from calling Frank the things that he called Frank and said that Frank had lied and cheated his way through the industry. He stepped back from that pretty quick, didn't he?
Yeah, but he made an apology for that as well. But that's what I'm not after. Look, this isn't about suing him for, you know, reputational defamation of millions of pounds. I'm not interested in that. What you said was wrong. So be the man and say, shouldn't have said it.
And then it would be over.
Yeah, but he won't say it. But also he won't double down. And if he wants to, say it again.
And what if he doesn't?
Well, then the legal proceedings will continue, and we'll get to a place where, you know, a court of law will decide whether he should have said. I don't think there's any. No one is denying any legal substance that the position of the case, which is even more madness, because anyone giving him advice would just say, let's just nip this in the bud, because like I said, it's and it becomes a mountain out of a molehill, and it's something that's quite unusual for me to do. But I just want, you know, people need to know. If you really care about something, if you really believe in something, this is my life.
Yeah.
This company.
Yeah.
You know, my dad hasn't worked for 40 years to build a reputation that I have to say, and there'll be people that don't like us, he's pretty much flawless within sport. Very few people saying, and that kind of accusation, what you're saying is, I have deliberately put your life in danger. No way ever, and don't you ever say that, and you will pay the consequences for saying that.
I was standing close to you in the bowels of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the end of it, Eddie, and I was looking at you, and you were just quite subdued that Conor hadn't won.
Of course.
And that was it. And that was a conversation. You weren't rushing off anywhere. You were around.
To speak to the
Conor was
to speak
there.
to the bloke in the ambulance to tell him to just put the brakes on. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous.
Very normal to me.
Well,
Here's the thing, though, Eddie. The issue of weight, rehydration, and safety again has come up in this one. If you were promoting Eubank Jr. and you were looking after his interests, would you agree to the terms as they are?
If the science and the doctors and the team told me it was safe to do so, and it wouldn't affect his performance, yes, absolutely. For the opportunity, for fighting a welterweight, for the money on the line, the team have to give you that advice. The science has to give you that advice. What a lot of people don't know is that Chris Eubank, if you listen to interviews from years in the past, he's always talked about, I put on about 6 or 7 pounds, 8 pounds the day after the fight, right? The rehydration clause he asked for early in the day, he actually overslept because he was, clearly tired, which is a good thing, by the way. If you needed to eat, you'd get there ASAP. He overslept, which is no problem at all. He turned up with all his clothes on and one of those moody big Louis Vuitton jackets and weighed in about half a pound or 3/4 pound under with all his clothes off. The rehydration clause was not tight in the slightest for him. What was really tight was his championship weight that he has made for the last 6 fights, right? Now, whether he had an illness, whether he didn't train properly, whether he just got it wrong, whatever. This time around, I think he's trained harder, and I think he will make the championship weight better this time on the scales, because I don't think he'll make the same mistake.
And even though you're in the opposing corner, if you like, the science says this time around everything is safe.
Well, yeah,
everything is as it should be.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, my duty of care and responsibility of a fight that is being offered to me by Turk El-Sheikh is to protect and respect my fighter, my client, my guy. I don't have to, at the same time, have to go into the ins and outs and speak to Chris Eubank Jr.'s doctor and perform strength and conditioning coaches and find out if this is actually possible. He has a team of people that he should rely on. And also, he's taken the opportunity to make his own decisions for his career. Do I want him to be 100% and safe? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's why you have a team. I can't make those decisions for Chris Eubank Jr.
No, but at the same time, you wouldn't want Conor to be in a position where he might do fairly destructive damage to Chris Eubank Jr. Because of something scientific that you might like to have known before they fought.
We understand, no, because I believe Chris Eubank Jr. has the people around him to do it in the best possible fashion. He has Bomac now, his trainer. He's Terence Crawford's trainer. He has great facilities and strength and conditioning and weight-making people around him. I think they know what they're doing. Will he be tight at the weight? Yeah.
So your responsibilities to Conor.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is the part of anybody who loves the sport to always want to make sure that everybody's safe. Last time, they did 12 hard rounds, and both fighters, by the way, you wouldn't know it because Conor didn't let everybody know because he didn't. They were in hospital together.
Yeah.
They were in the wards next to each other.
Nigel told us that the other
Chris
day.
Eubank Sr. was in Conor Benn's ward, talking to him, asking if okay. They were both in hospital after the fight.
Yeah.
Now, Conor Benn left an hour or so later. Chris was in there for 2 or 3 days or something.
And for the record, Nigel, I think Simon told us the other day that Eubank Jr. got to the hospital before Nigel and Conor.
Yeah, because we did the press conference, and when we went into the press conference, we actually told that Chris Eubank Jr. had a broken jaw. That's what we were told, and that he's going to hospital or gone to hospital.
Yeah.
We did our press conference. We went back to the changing rooms, and Conor started to look a bit worse for wear and tired. And I said to him, "How do you feel?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm all right. I feel a bit sick." I said, "Then let's get the doctor." The doctor came in and said, "Just for a precaution, let's take you to the hospital." And this was quite a bit after Chris Eubank, and then he went, and they were both in there together.
What a world it is, Eddie, that you live in, you work in. It really is. More from Eddie Hearn as we approach 1:45 this Thursday lunchtime.
Big Fight Preview, Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
It is indeed. Thanks for all the texts and the messages coming in every second. Eddie Hearn, of course, with Simon and myself this lunchtime here in studio. Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn live this Saturday night on talkSPORT. You can watch it live on DAZN. Eddie, in the remaining minutes we have with you this hour, sources telling Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua, your man, and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a December heavyweight fight in Florida. True or false?
I mean, the gun was jumped a little bit and fired early. There have been conversations. For us, we were flirting with the idea of having this little 8-round fight this year. Not with Jake Paul, by the way, because he was fighting Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, that's no.
But we were going to go on a other card somewhere. You wouldn't have really heard of the person we were going to fight. But AJ wanted to go through the motions, wrap the hands, and just gear up to what is really in the works with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is 2 fights in 2026, and that includes Tyson Fury. That's the plan for Turki Al-Sheikh. We received a phone call from Nikisa Baldirian, from MVP, who, by the way, we've spoke to a few months before talking to us about the fight, and he said, look, would you want to fight Jake Paul? And I said, listen, I don't want to just be a publicity muppet for you, you know, telling everybody that you offered the fight to Anthony Joshua. If you're serious, we can discuss the numbers, and if there's a chance for us to run out in December and, you know, take care of this bloke and get him out of the boxing world and make several tens of millions in the process, of course, we will consider it. And that's basically where we are at now.
And do the numbers stack up?
Of course. I mean, like, you know, it's difficult to have this conversation. I think sometimes you just need to be as honest as possible. Should Jake Paul be fighting Anthony Joshua? No. Is he mad to do it? Yeah. Is there tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars for Anthony Joshua to have an 8-round run out against Jake Paul? Yes.
And that's why you're doing it?
We're not doing it. We're considering it. And at the moment, there's work to be done. But could it happen? Yes, it could.
If your man Anthony Joshua fights Jake Paul, do you and Anthony stand to make more out of it than Anthony Joshua fighting Tyson Fury?
More out of it? You're talking financially?
Financially.
Well, I think the same kind of levels, to be honest with you. And that's why, in this situation, I'd rather just be completely honest and say, what do you want him to do? And forget the legacy chat for a minute, because you can't eat legacy. And I hate the chat as well of, oh, he's got a load of money. Why? This isn't. You're not talking about. I'll give you an example, and this is going to be as truthful as it gets. We were going to fight in end of November or December in an 8-round fight against a bloke you've never heard of, right? For a decent sort of.
Who was it?
I'm not going through that, but it's a top 100 guy, 100 guy on BoxRec, right? And he would have made, there was no money involved. Call it $1 million, right? Or we can go out and we can do it against Mr. Paul for 50 times as much money. And by the way, in the process, we can stick one on this geezer. I don't particularly like either. And we can do it in front of the whole world. And then we can go forward to the real stuff in 2026, which is really important to us, which is fighting in February and then fighting Tyson Fury or trying to get a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. I can't be more honest than that. You can ask me whatever you want, and I will give you it truthful and raw and honest about the decision-making process.
Now, Eddie. Live in talkSPORT, can you tell us that Anthony Joshua's next 2 fights are likely to be against Jake Paul and then Tyson Fury?
No, because I don't know if we'll fight Jake Paul yet, but next year we will fight in February, and then we will fight Tyson Fury. If Turki Al-Sheikh delivers on his plans and strategies. We spoke with him in London this week. Everything that we do with Anthony Joshua will be in accordance with and under the guidance of Turki Al-Sheikh. He has given us amazing opportunities, and the game plan will be put together with him.
Even though Tyson Fury says he's staying retired.
It's Turki Al-Sheikh's responsibility to talk to Tyson Fury and try and make the deal. I can't tell you we're fighting Tyson Fury. What I can tell you is Turki Al-Sheikh has told us, I am going to make AJ v Tyson Fury. This is your deal. Do you accept? We have accepted. Is the fight made? No, because I don't know where he's at with Tyson Fury. All I know is he's yet to fail in delivering a fight.
Right. And this would be the first time that he'd fail if AJ ends up not fighting Tyson Fury.
If AJ doesn't fight Tyson Fury, Turki Al-Sheikh has failed to make the fight.
It would be on him, not you.
It will be on him, and I don't believe he will fail. I believe you will see AJ against Tyson Fury in 2026, and it will be the biggest fight we have ever seen in British boxing. But I can't speak on behalf of Mr. Fury. What he does is up to him. If he wants to stay retired, good luck to him. He deserves all the success.
Now, you believe we will see
I do.
AJ against Tyson Fury? You're saying live in talkSPORT this lunchtime. You believe we will see in 2026 Anthony Joshua fight Tyson Fury where?
Wherever Turki Al-Sheikh wants it to be. And I believe there's a very good chance you could see it in this country.
Equal purse for the two fighters.
We'll never know, Jim. And that's the beauty of what he does. If I was negotiating with Frank Warren, all right, we were negotiating with Tyson Fury, it's a disaster waiting to happen. I want this, he wants this, I want it. Just tell me the deal. We'll negotiate our side. Let Frank Warren, Spencer Brown, whoever it is, negotiate their side. That's why Ben Eubank happened. I couldn't have got a deal done with Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah.
You've seen the build-up. That's why this fight happened through Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh offered us the fight to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Yes, please, thank you very much. Turki Al-Sheikh is now offering us the fight against Tyson Fury. Yes, please, thank you very much.
So he's offering you that fight.
We're in.
And if your man AJ doesn't fight Tyson Fury in 2026, Turki Al-Sheikh is responsible for not making it happen for the first time ever.
Cool, you're making me sweat here.
For the first time ever.
Yeah,
that's how Eddie's described it, Simon.
Oh, he's been very clever. He's framed a couple of conversations around Turki Al-Sheikh in terms of the consequences of the Ben Eubank fight on Turki Al-Sheikh and the consequences of not making the Fury Joshua. But it is ultimately, if the money in the room, as these guys have acquiesced to, is Turki Al-Sheikh to make these sort of fights. So you're not going to get Fury and Joshua in a ring unless you pay him 100 million quid. And you're not going to get him paid 100 million quid through the gate receipts of Wembley or through the framing of it. You've got to have someone else put a facility fee up.
Here's the thing, Eddie. In the remaining minute or so that we've got, you've lit up the switchboard here because you're telling us in 2026 you firmly believe that AJ will fight Tyson Fury. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the heavyweight division now, Mr. Hearn, Queensberry, I've got it sewn up.
When you say sewn up, I mean
Fabio Wardley.
Yeah, but hold on.
Moses Itoma.
Look.
You need Anthony Joshua to go in against Tyson.
I got the biggest guy in the world. I mean, I've got the guy that could go and fight one of the biggest fights this year against Jake Paul, and I've got the guy that I know will beat Tyson Fury. That's all I need. But when you talk about got it sewn up, you've got to talk about the value that fighters are bringing to the company and to the stadium and to the broadcaster. And a lot of those fights, you can just have liquidity of fighters in rankings, but some of them don't really matter that much.
This might end your newfound friendship with Eddie. Who's got it sewn up? Eddie's lot or Frank's lot?
It depends what you mean by sewn up. I mean, the intangibles of whether Anthony Joshua will fight again, you know, he will know better, but there's all kinds of rumours about where Anthony Joshua is mentally, not physically, and who he's training with, whether he's at Usyk, what his state of mind is, who's around him, who's giving him the best advice, and all of that sort of stuff. That's an intangible. What is realistic is the biggest heavyweight prospect in the world is Moses Itoma. He's under Frank Warren. Daniel Dubois is the former heavyweight champion of the world under Frank Warren. Fabio Wardley has now put himself in a situation where he is mandatory to fight Alexander Usyk under Frank Warren. Yeah. And we can go on and on with these heavyweights.
Yeah, sure.
It's an Achilles heel for him.
To recap on everything, and Eddie, thank you for the last hour. You've brought us a lot this hour. Anthony Joshua will fight Tyson Fury in 2026. If it doesn't happen, it's down to Turki Al-Sheikh for failing to make it.
I mean, you're going to get me banging trouble.
That's what you said.
But what I will tell you is this. Turki Al-Sheikh is attempting to make Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury. Therefore, if he can't make it happen, I won't blame him, but he has failed to make the fight that he wants to fight.
But you or Frank can't do it without Turki Al-Sheikh.
I think it's a lot more likely to happen.